Good morning, everyone, or good evening for those in Australia. We've got a very special guest here on the stream. It's actually, if you look to that direction, it looks like you're looking at me. We got Dukes on Twitch. Dougal, he is here with Goblins. So I asked him to play League of Goblins on his own, taking a list of mine through a league because I kind of wanted to get an outsider's perspective on goblins. You know, we've got the goblins community is like very self-contained in that it's like a lot, like it has is like two distinct groups. There's like the people who have been playing goblins since like Onslaught came out, you know, and they've just stuck with it. Like a bunch of psychos, and are just like, oh, I'm gonna play goblins for the rest of my goddamn life. And like they're just like the committed, you know, grinders. Even if like most of them are like paper. I feel like the goblins community is like very paper oriented. There's not that many moto people. But like there's that group, and there's all the new players who are approaching the deck. You know, so either saw my stream or like just became interested in it because it's a cheaper-ish legacy deck in the grand scheme of things. It's like those are the two main groups, and it's very easy for ideas to get kind of inbred with that kind of setup where it's just like a lot of people who have a ton of experience and a lot of people have no experience. And so the same ideas tend to revolve around and around, same arguments, same conversations tend to happen over and over again. So with you, I was hoping to have someone who's coming in from an angle that is not alien to goblins, but isn't exactly the same. You know, being Maverick, Death and Taxes, you know, these kind of toolboxy decks, file decks, but goblins is kind of like whereas Maverick is a little bit more like creature mid-range toolbox. Goblins is like aggro combo control toolbox. You know, it's juggling more archetypes within itself, but there's some similarities for sure. You know, you got Green Sun Zenith, you got Goblin Matron, you've got, you know, a lot of hands that are like, okay, I want to go 1-drop accelerant into 3-mana thing. Like, we just do it in different ways, but it's a similar idea. You know, managed denial packages, that sort of thing. Oh, you're muted. Oh, now we got you. Yeah, no, it was my end. Sorry, because I muted you for one scene and then it didn't unmute you for the next scene. My bad.
Eli, wow.
I know. I'm so bad.
All good. No, all I was going to say is that I think Green Suns allows Maverick to pivot a little bit faster. If you're up like against like a graveyard deck or a combo deck, you can Green Suns for 2 for like Scavenging Ooze or go like straight for Gaddock. But with Goblins, you have Matron, which is a little bit like Recruiter at 3. You get to like start then pivoting a bit more.
Yeah. So yeah, that's a big thing. It's like Matron doesn't put the thing into play. So Goblins, I think, more than Maverick or to some extent D&T, cares more about the cards in its hand in a lot of spots. Obviously, like having bodies on board is essential to the functioning of the deck, but you do want to accumulate cards in hand because a lot of the deck is like picking your spots when to expose certain things. So it's like, I want to Matron for War Chief, but I don't want to play it for the next 2 turns. Kind of stuff can happen, especially against control, where you're saving things for later, and it's not all immediacy. So
yeah,
this list, I'm on something different right now, but this is like what I called my aggro list, basically because it was leaning into the more conventional aggressive elements where we've got 3 pile drivers and 3 war chiefs. So I think of a common rule of thumb for me is that I want as many pile drivers as I have war chiefs because they work really, really well together. And you know, this list has the deep black splash for Warren Weirding as my tech to answer game 1 Murktide Regents. And, has some niche utility in some other matchups, but that's its primary purpose. And we got the Tarfire here over the Mog Fnatic that was initially there just because there's a lot of Stoneforge Mystic decks. Seeing a lot of D&T online. And Stoneforge Culture is a problem, and if you got the Tarfire, it makes your life so much easier. And it's like, it's worse than Mog Fnatic against a lot of decks. Against any Ragavan deck, you'd much rather have Mog Fnatic. Against any anyone playing Tarmogoyf, you feel real bad about casting a tribal instant, because then it's just like a 5/6, and you're just like, oh, how do I ever kill this thing?
Yeah, I guess a Tarfire can't even kill a 0/1 Tarmogoyf.
Nope,
which is pretty funny.
Not even a little bit, unless you can do the trick of Tarfire it and then pop Relic. That's the only way.
Nice. Yep.
You're a goblin. Can you enter the battlefield? I suppose you can.
Yeah, Tarfire was sweet. Came up a few times where the 2 damage was definitely relevant.
Okay.
And to be able to fetch off Matron was sweet. And just to be able to hold it up without actually building out the board is kind of cool.
Yeah,
so having like a Terminus deck perhaps.
Yeah. Tarfire, I mean, it is shock, It's not exactly blowing anyone's mind on power level, but the fact that you can, you don't want to matron for it all that often, but it is really nice to have a cheap removal spell that you can Ringleader into. I think that's like a very real upside, because a lot of the time, hey, Sprayltona, thanks for the follow. With goblins, when you cast a Ringleader, you want to Ringleader into a bunch of removal spells usually. Because that's like, okay, I'm taking the turn off unless I have Vial to, play my draw spell. This is like a low tempo play, but if you draw into like Tarfire, Expert, Pashlik, and then you're just like, oh, I'm gonna Wrath you next turn, kind of thing.
Yeah. I found a lot of the time, if I wasn't just trying to refuel my hand with Ringleader, it was 100% to try to find some sort of removal through a Goblin spell.
Yep. That's a big part.
It's nice that you can also find the Warren wielding.
Yeah, and that's why I like weirding over, something like main deck Pyroblast. I tried for Regent, because obviously it will always kill the Regent, but not being a Goblin is just like a huge downside. And of course also Pyroblast, I did do that, and I ran into 9 non-blue decks in a row. As you do.
Classic.
Oh, how about Wart? So the format is very, very, very dense with 1-mana removal right now, like more so than maybe ever. You've got lots of decks playing both Plow and Bolt. I mean, there's just a lot of Bolt decks in general. So I really don't like Wart. Wart is only like barely technically playable.
What is Wart?
So Wart is a Shadowmoor or Lorwyn card. It's 2 black-red for a 3/3 Fear. Legendary Goblin. And at the beginning of your end step, return a goblin card from your graveyard to your hand. That's the wrong Wart. It's a Wart.
Of course, there's multiple Warts.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Wart. I forget the full name of the card. Bogger Ante. Yeah.
There it is.
Yeah, you gotta put the exclamation point card on it.
Nice. Okay. Yeah, because I know with the Black Splash, you've played around with like Volrath Stronghold.
Oh man,
before as well.
Those were the days. Volrath Stronghold was so sick. No longer really where the deck is interested in, just because. I mean, the format's just not that slow anymore.
Yeah, and I feel like your mana base is your biggest asset, so a lot of the times I was so happy to go like basic.
Yeah. Yeah, if you can get those basic heavy starts, like I think the number one thing with Goblins is like leading on a basic land is so important. After that, you can do a greater variety of things, but the first basic on turn 1 is so important to just like not get screwed over by so many different things. It's like, oh, if you lead on a basic and you play a Vial, you're going to get forced and wastelanded. If you go, Cavern Lackey on the draw against Delver, they're going to bolt and wasteland you, and then you're just like super far behind. You gotta, that basic land is so clutch.
Yeah, even the one swamp came up a lot.
Oh, good. I'm glad the swamp came up. That's good to keep in mind. Dukes played a Goblins League, and we're gonna look at his games and see. Basically, I want to see, like what are the blind spots for someone who's starting with Goblins. Yoram, thanks for the sub for 4 months. Appreciate it.
Yeah, Yoram.
And so I want to get his perspective, and I want to see like what are common mistakes that people who are new to Goblins might make, because I can't. It's hard for me to be educational about those things because it might just be in a blind spot for me. It's just like, oh, I just assume that this gets read as the right play, just like kind of like by default. But of course, that might not be true at all. So I wanted to get the outsider's perspective.
Yeah, I think like generally overall, 2 big things. Sequencing is huge, and Goblins is a great deck to learn sequencing with, because if your sequencing is incorrect, you're going to get bit.
Yeah.
And you're going to learn from that. That's probably the best way to learn about sequencing, is doing it wrong.
Yeah.
And the second thing was just like knowing when to double spell over one spell.
That's
probably the other thing.
Yeah.
And knowing when to like pressure the board or when to hold back.
Yeah. That's definitely all very big things. And I think with Goblins, the reason the sequencing can really matter so much is that Goblins is all about scaling. You've got your cards all scale into the late game kind of differently, and that's what makes Goblins, like, it has like a very clear like early, mid, and late game mode, and appropriately using your cards in each of those kind of periods of the game is really important, because you're going to use an early game War Marshal differently than a late game one, if that makes sense. Like, it has a different purpose. So like
I found that a little bit with Pashlik Mons and Sling Gang. Like knowing not to get them too early, because if you get them too early and they die, they're your copies. That's it.
Right. Yeah. Pashlik especially, because it's just the one of, which makes me want to run 2 Pashliks a lot of the time, but it's like it's very hard to find space for it. But like the War Marshals, like early game, it's like, oh, he's here to block and occasionally be a Dark Ritual. And then in the late game, it's like, this is Lightning Helix,
Yeah, that's very true.
Yeah. So the basic swamp, the idea with the basic swamp is that with 3 experts and a Worn Weirding, first of all, I just wanted another black source to cast this Worn Weirding. So there's 10 black sources for Worn Weirding. There's 14 black sources for expert. And it became a serious problem that if you play Weirding and Expert, like all your critical interaction against Delver is forcing you to fetch a duel or play out a duel. And that sucks, because then you just get wastelanded and you fall far behind. So it's basically just to mitigate wasteland. As it's at the like basic swamp definitely sucks sometimes. You open those hands and it's like, oh, I've got a reasonable hand, and then it's like swamp, port, wasteland. You're like, this port, if this swamp was like a Badlands, this would be like a maybe a little bit sketchy but reasonable keep. But now it's just like a must be a mulligan kind of thing. But yeah, it has upsides and downsides. I liked it in this build.
Yeah, I can definitely see where 2 would just be a little bit awkward, especially with both in your opener.
Oh god, that'd be awful.
But the 1 was really nice. It meant that I could actually like cast Sling Gang off basics, which is really nice.
Yeah, casting Sling off basics. I like also 3 mountains, 1 swamp is better against back to basics than 4 mountains is. Because being able to expert and cast Sling Gang against a back to basics deck like Miracles is really important, because experts, you're great, perfect way to answer Jace. Sling Gang is one of your cards to actually close out the game quickly. What did you just realize? The expert targeted planeswalkers?
Yeah. Oh, that would have helped.
We'll get to see if that comes up.
Cool. Nice.
Okay. Yeah, also just hope for file. Yeah. All right. You want to hop in the games here?
Yeah, cool. Okay. Do you want to close your eyes so you don't see the result? And I'll bring up the game.
Sure. Everybody close your eyes.
All right. 2 seconds. All right.
Landon. Oh, I can guess how this went.
Yeah, so game 1 was against you, Landon, which I assumed was going to be on Black Red Reanimator or some sort of Delver deck. It was either between Black Red Reanimator, some sort of Delver deck, or just another fast combo deck, because I kind of see Eric as a guy that just loves to like jam leagues.
Yeah, right.
All right. So first hand in the blind, we have 2 lands, 2 lackeys, a ringleader as a really nice way to make sure that the lackey actually puts something in that's quite big.
Yep.
Lackey's going to be uncounterable, which is great. If the first one gets taken out, we have a second one, which is fantastic. And then, a land off the top means we can just start casting the Mogwai Marshal or the Pile Driver if the Cavern gets taken out by a Wasteland.
Yeah.
But I thought in the blind this was fine on a power level.
Oh, yeah. It's totally what you're looking for. Chance to the Annex. Yep. Saw that one coming.
But then we saw this land come down.
Oops, huh?
It's going to be oops. So, obviously, going off here, and
Yep.
A great way to start.
Yep. This is the Goblins experience. It's like, I gotta have some enjoyable magic, and then you get turn 1 plus Chancellor.
Yeah, which is pretty tough. I think the last card in the hand was the Dread Return, which they can just
wasn't the last card the Chancellor?
Maybe it was. Did they have to discard off the? Yeah, sorry. Yeah, that's right.
House of Mana thanks to fall.
So that was a pretty easy one.
Yep. No, you played perfectly. I see no mistakes.
Thank you. So first game down.
100%.
Do I close this and then open up the next one?
Yep.
Or does it go straight through to the next? No.
Yeah, you can click the next one.
All right. So we have a game 2. We're on the play.
All right. You cannot click on the yes. You have to click that. Yeah. So click the other one. Okay. So if you mulligan, it'll show you the mulligans.
Oh, sorry. Let me. All right. This one.
Yeah. And do it again. And again. There we go.
All right. So this is the first hand. It has a Chalice for 0, which is interaction, but it doesn't really have a plan. I don't have colored mana.
Yeah, if this had a red source, I feel like this is a keep, because Chalice 0, Lackey Nemuxis, plus a Wasteland is like pretty good.
Yep.
But unfortunately, without being able to play the Lackey on 1, it's just like infinitely worse.
Yeah, I think best case is like the port is a red source, so it could like turn 1 Lackey, Chalice for 0, untap, Wasteland their land they play, hopefully, and then attack with, and then put Muxus in play. Yep. But I feel like for a combo deck, they're probably bringing in. They actually didn't know what I was on, but I thought that Force of Vigor is probably a card to consider. So
yeah,
I do want to have maybe multiple pieces of interaction.
Yeah, that's a big ask, but I mean this looks pretty good.
Yeah, this is pretty nice. So definitely keeping the Chalice and the Mindbreak Trap and the Lackey as a turn 1 play, and then it was a consideration of, is the Lackey my mana source? So can I be greedy here and actually bottom a land, or do I bottom either the Mogwai Marshal or the War Chief? And I wasn't too sure what was best. I do like obviously getting pressure into play so that they can't just draw into an answer for Chalice, because I guess they can play under Mindbreak Trap pretty easily.
Yeah,
which can happen. So I believe I kept the War Chief. No, I bottomed a land.
Okay.
Because I kind of felt like the Lackey was just going to be my way to win anyway and cast my spells, because I didn't think that'd bring in some sort of creature hate for the Lackey. Right. My only thought after keeping this was, what if they have a Wild Cantor?
Right, and just block.
Yeah, maybe that's a reason to keep the second land and drop a creature.
Yeah, I mean, I think I would ditch the War Marshal here, but mostly because if you have 2 lands, then drawing Matron becomes much better, because then you can Matron from Muxus pre-combat.
Oh, nice. Yeah, yeah. There we go. Nice. That's awesome.
And this is a decision: are you Chalice on 0 or Chalice on 1? Go Chalice.
I went for Chalice on 0.
Okay.
But maybe that's incorrect, because Chalice for 0 also kind of turns off the Mindbreak trap.
Right. In a way, yeah.
Like if they try to go for it early on, maybe I should just hold up Mindbreak trap for turn 1 interaction, and then turn 2 I have the Chalice.
Yeah, I think that's what I would have done, just because as you said, like, if they have access to their 0s, they're actually more likely to play into trap. And also, if you have Chalice on 1, that means they can't discard spell your Mindbreak trap. So you can actually let them, cast their Spy or their Informer or whatever, and then, they can't Cabal Therapy your Mindbreak trap, and then the Dread Return will get Mindbreak trapped, unless they unless they manage to cast Spy or Informer by playing only 1 spell, right? Which is kind of hard to do.
Yep.
So, I think that's the correct line there. But I mean, this isn't, you're not in a bad spot here by any means.
Yeah, it definitely felt good, but I did feel like now I feel like the Chalice is a little bit counterintuitive if I am also relying on the Mindbreak trap, because that's kind of stopping the ability for them to actually cast 3 spells in 1 turn.
Right. Yeah, you can just use that one for this.
Cool. Nice. We do the Cavern, which is nice.
Yep.
Which I believe we just used to cast the Mogwar and put in the War Chief.
Mm-hmm.
I believe we just attacked first and put in the Mogwar Marshal for free. Oh, actually, no.
Yeah, you put in the War Chief and cast the Mogwar Marshal, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't play the land. I didn't think there's a real need to.
That's fair.
I felt like keeping up 2 creatures might just be, or 2 pieces of interaction. My opponent might think I have like Mindbreak and something like Surgical.
Yep.
And because we have the War Chief and the Goblin Lacking in play, and only drawing 1 card a turn, there's no real need to put in the land.
Yeah, I can't think of a punish where like you could. Yeah, there's like no way. There's actually no way for you to get punished. Even.
The only thing was paying Echo for Mog Marshal. We can't do if I do
right,
this.
but you have a War Chief in place, that doesn't matter.
Yeah, that's true.
Because the token gets haste anyway.
Oh yeah, perfect. So end step they have a Force.
Yeah.
They untap.
Die.
Sadly.
Yeah.
So they play a second land. They have 2 Spirit Guides.
Yeah, of course.
And they
use
to cast Spy.
Yeah.
So they cast 1 spell, and then
Spirit Guide, fair and balanced. Yep.
Yeah, they actually have a bridge in the bin, and they Cabal Therapy me and name Mindbreak Trap.
Yeah. Yeah.
Kudos.
This is the spot where like Pyrokinesis would be very, very good if you had the like a sack outlet instead of War Chief plus War Marshal.
Yeah.
Because then you could take out the Narcomoebas before but you take out 3, or you take out 2 of the Narcomoebas before or 3 before the 4th one comes in, and then they're left with the Spy and Narcomoeba, and then they can't Dread Return. But I mean, yeah. Turn 1, blow up your Chalice. Turn 2, kill you. Is like that's how it goes sometimes.
I mean, it's the reason you play the deck. But I guess the Chalice for 1 play wouldn't have stopped this, because they just wouldn't.
Yeah, they just had all Spirit Guides. Yeah.
But I guess they could just go Balustrade Spy into Dread Return, and that would just be 2 spells.
Yep.
So
I'm amused a little bit that like Magus of the Moon is like good versus Oops now. Like if you had a Magus, I mean, there's no way you could have gotten in play that early, but like if you like, I mean, you can with like a prospector, but say, if there's a Magus in play, then they actually would have just gotten stranded on black sources, which is really funny. The fact that land hate is now good against dupe soul spells.
Yeah, very true. I do like as well that in shout out to your Patreon and your sideboard guide, you literally have as like the first line of oops is that like oops is the new Blackroot reanimator of Legacy. And it's funny that I thought that Landon was going to be on
right. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Pretty funny. So yeah, unfortunately that was game 1.
That was game 2.
Game 2, sorry, but match 1.
Yeah.
All
oops.
Right.
Oops matchup bad. Big surprise.
Yeah, sadly, just a kind of consistent thing with a lot of fair decks. And obviously, Goblins doesn't have access to something like Deafening Silence or Canonist.
Right, yeah. I mean, our equivalent... Pyrokinesis is kind of doing a similar thing, is that it's like a very cheap way to interact with the combo.
Yep, that's true. And I guess Trap, like, you can play your spells, but then I'll counter them instead of I won't let you play your spells.
Yeah.
Kind of similar roles, yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
So...
on to match 2?
Yeah, on to match 2.
All right. Do you want to look away so you don't see the score?
Sure. Look away, right. Chat.
Where are we? Here. All right. I think this is Mingu.
It is, yeah.
Okay.
On the play, all right.
So we have a 3-lander, one being a spell land, being Wasteland, a turn 1 Vial, a lot of gas. I thought this was an easy keep. We also have fetches to go for either basic, which is nice. Wasteland is like a turn 1 or a turn 2 play in a way, but
yeah, it's basically If you resolve the Vial, the hand's phenomenal. I mean, it's slow, but it's like with a Wasteland that makes up for it basically because you get an extra turn of Vial ticking up. If your Vial gets countered, it's like a bummer, but and then you could definitely lose to stuff like Daze more easily. But the fact that you can get basics makes that less painful. So yep, and it's like basically all good top decks from here.
Yep, exactly. I can cast everything that I pretty much draw into, which is really nice. So I believe I just go for basic early on because I don't want to get Wastelanded out.
Yep. Yeah. Good play using the Mesa. Force Pitch Force. Okay.
For basic. Yeah, so Force Pitch Force and using the Mesa because the Bloodstain Mire can get either basic, which is really nice.
Okay, so it looks like Delver.
It's obviously Delver. So,
I love it's good Wasteland.
Yeah, so opponent went to 6, and obviously they forced, so they went to 4, and then land into Dragon, and then untap. I really like hitting the Volk, because if they kept like a Ponder threat hand and played the threat, I really want to make sure they get hit hard if they don't have the mana to actually Ponder turn 2.
Yes, I 100% agree with this, and I think people don't do this enough against Delver, because, if you look at a Delver mana base, it has like 15, 14. If they're playing basic mountain, they have like 14 blue sources. If you Wasteland their first one, they're actually quite not that likely to have a second one. Lefarg, thanks for the follow. So the Wastelanding Delver before they get to cast their first cantrip is so much better than any other time to Wasteland them, and that often means you are Wastelanding when you're like behind on board, which like you're not supposed to do. But I think it's actually quite an underrated play because it just has such a high chance of just winning the game.
Yep, exactly. I think a lot of people get turned off by like, oh, but if I trade here, they have a Delver in play, like they're going to be ahead. But there's so many times where I've Wastelanded and it's got to like turn 3 and then it was conceded because I've set up a board that they can't beat, and the Delver has maybe got in for like 3 swings, but it's like they can't
do anything.
They can't race.
Yeah.
Like it's crazy. So here I think I actually just play the fetch land. I don't like playing around Stifle, but I feel like it was kind of free during my turn. So I believe I just played the Bloodstain and Pass, but I'll just play this for now.
Okay.
Yeah, so they have the land, they ponder. It's interesting that they put an Unholy Heat into the bin. I'm not too sure if the mana base already gave away that we're on Goblins, or if someone would think that.
Yeah, I mean,
but I thought that
basic Mountain Vial is only Goblins, basically.
Yeah, exactly. So that made me think they already have a hand of removal and just feel like they don't need it. And they want to turn this Dragon Rage Channel into a flyer ASAP to try to get the instant into the yard. Oh, but they already had the force negation, so...
I mean, they probably just have... I mean, Unholy Heat is just like a much worse lightning bolt, right, in this matchup because it doesn't go face.
Yeah, that's very true.
So that's probably why Mengu dropped it. Probably just digging. Also, probably providing fuel for a Murktide Regent is the concern.
Yeah, it's very true as well. So we drew the Cavern, but I played the basic just because obviously Wasteland is a threat, so I don't want to play the Cavern without getting value off it.
Yeah, you gotta treat your caverns like lotus petals a lot of the time against Delver. You just gotta trust. You gotta, if they haven't shown you a Wasteland yet, your first cavern is gonna get Wastelanded, so you better do something with it.
Sadly, yeah. But I felt like, yeah, especially with a lot of your goblins where you have like things like Goblin. What's the one that sacks for 1?
Prospector?
No, the other one. Goblin. Deal 2 or kill a colorist.
Oh, Crater Maker?
Crater Maker, yeah. I felt like a lot of time I was just waiting on it to always have the mana up to use it just in case.
All right, this is a decision point.
Yeah, I'd love to remember what I did. I think we definitely went with Cavern because we are casting a spell here. This is where I kind of liked going for War Chief, I believe, because then the following turn I could go Matron.
See, the fact that they bend the Unholy Heat makes me not want to play the War Chief here because, like, we had the read that there's probably a removal spell in hand already, right?
Exactly, yeah. I believe on stream after I cast this, I said the exact same thing. I was like, we'll just put the War Chief into a bolt range. Like,
yeah.
Kind of time walks out in a way.
Right. Which is the problem with War Chief. Like, this is... Delver is the worst matchup for War Chief.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Because I was thinking, like, is War Chief a card in this matchup where I can actually wait on it and then get value off it? But I was like, if I'm waiting on it, then it's just, it's not doing its job. What it should be doing.
Want War Chief in this matchup you use to, like, throw out unexpected damage in a race is, like, how it actually works out.
Yeah. So this play was huge because...
Does he not have a bolt?
They didn't attack.
What the hell?
Which was really interesting because they let the Unholy Heat go.
Yeah.
So I was like, what do you have? And surely it's not counter magic. If it does, it sucks because I had the Cavern.
Right.
But they just
So his hand isn't cantrips. It doesn't there's no bolts. There's presumably I would guess a daze or another force. And then like maybe Unholy or Expressive Iteration.
Yeah. Or maybe a Murktide.
Maybe Murktide, yeah. Like it just has to be uncastables.
Yeah. So here, extra land isn't really needed. I just play the basic, I believe, to play around like Stifle.
I think you're actually supposed to play and like crack the fetch because if they're gonna stifle, you'd rather they stifle the land than stifle your matron.
Look at that. Beautiful. Exactly. Yeah. That's very true. So I believe what happens here is we fetch. I wasn't in this position. I wasn't too sure what I actually wanted to get. I thought about Tarfire as just a way to like control some of the board, but I also just thought about getting something like a Ringleader to just keep my hand strong.
Okay, so you've got a lot of choices here, and also I noticed that you didn't use the Cavern.
Yeah, so I played around Daze with the first one.
Right.
Yeah, so I thought that if I Cavern first and they have like maybe Daze, they let it resolve, but then the second one I can't cast.
So I was thinking, given that we've ruled out that their hand is bolts, so their hand is no bolts, no more one-drop creatures, no more no lands, no cantrips. So their hand has to be counter magic and two mana spells. It's like the only thing it can be. So that makes me want to play around counter magic as much as possible. So the way to dodge counters entirely this turn is to matron using Cavern and then get jump home and jump home one of the channelers.
Oh, nice. Yeah, that's awesome. That's a very cool play.
Though I guess you would attack first because that would give them delirium, right?
Yeah, very true. Nice. So yeah, attack with the War Chief. Second main phase, use Cavern Mountain to go and get Gem Palm, and then probably just hold up the Gem Palm.
Given that there's Mana Screwed, I kind of want to just use it immediately because I don't want them to be able to scry towards lands if they do draw something.
Yeah, cool. Nice. Makes a lot of sense.
So the reason not to get ringleader here, which like I understand your inclination to do that, it's just that you already have another matron in hand. So like, and a sling gang. So your hand is already good. And like the way you would lose this game would have to be just like getting tempoed out. And so like, you know, if he draws a brainstorm and then finds like a wasteland, and then I guess your ringleader can't get dazed unless your war chief gets bolted. So like he's a little too far behind to actually handle all the things that you can do. But in this sort of spot generically, you want to like jump hum is like the in between of a munitions expert and a ringleader, in that it's like more card advantage than an expert because drawing card is better than a 1/1.
Yeah.
And so like, but it's obviously it's not as mana intensive as a ringleader. So jump hum is that kind of space between those two cards in terms of like when you matron for it. It's like I want value, but I don't have the time to just the luxury of just matron for ringleader.
Yeah, nice. I think I ended up getting an expert just because I can cast it and it is off. Yeah. So what actually happened was
he conceded.
I took too long and Mengu just conceded, obviously knowing that it happened. But then he actually conceded the match, so I didn't get any more games out of this.
Wow.
But yeah, so I'm not sure if I'm going to assume that he actually just had to go somewhere.
Yeah, Mengu's not like a real like salty guy or anything, so I doubt he would rage quit a match just like on turn 5 of game 1.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, definitely a really interesting point, because I had the double matrons and I wasn't sure like if one's going to get removal and one's going to get some sort of like way to like value my opponent, which one do I go for removal first, or do I go for value first?
Yeah, I think matron for jump home the first one, and then next turn you can matron for ringleader off of 5 lands, which you already have. So you can go for that all in one fell swoop, or you'd be able to just go matron for Pashalik and then play Sling Gang. And then if they don't have the bolt for the War Chief or the Sling Gang, and we know that there's not a bolt, you could just play Pashalik and kill them.
Yeah, nice. I had a question. Are there any situations you've come up with where you have to hold priority with Sling Gang?
No, you usually don't actually want to do that, because you usually want to let each trigger resolve individually, because if you don't, you can get got by like a Veil of Summer.
Interesting. Yeah. Okay. That's a good one.
Like normally Veil should never. Veil should only ever like stifle one slinging activation, but if you put them all on the stack at once, then it can really suck.
Smart. Very smart. Nice. Stealth match.
All right.
Short and sweet. Yep. All right. You ready to close your eyes again?
Yeah. Look at chat. Who's the OP? So that was Andrea Mengucci, the opponent there. Why not War Chief? Roberts. You mean like get a second War Chief there? It's just like, I guess it's not unreasonable, but I feel like the way that he could lose that game would be if Mengu draws a wasteland and kills your cavern and then counters your next matron, because then you have 2/2/2s and a 1/1 against 2 channelers that are about to be 3/3s, and you have the Sling Gang still in your hand, but like they're not low enough that you can just drain them all out at once. Like that just seems like setting up. That's like kind of spewing value. War Chief is one of the worst cards in the deck against Delver, so you generally don't want to matron for your second one. You don't even really want the first one, but he got pretty lucky and he untapped with it, so it was good. Like it's like War Chief's not that bad against Delver. It's just like high risk. You know, it's very hard to untap with it. But if you do that, it's like, oh, Daze doesn't do anything. I can double spell, so like force matters less. You know, the tempo. You know, it's really really good to untap with War Chief, but it's just like feels impossible. But if you get away with it, then it's insane.
Has Goblins ever had, I assume not, some sort of playable flyer or Goblin with reach?
Nope.
No, I assume in a way.
Goblin Balloon Brigade is not not getting there. You looking that one up?
Yeah. Brigade. Oh god. Oh god. Brigade. There we go. Oh, nice. You can give it a flying. That's cool. Nice.
Oh, Mangoose streamed. Okay, he just wanted to stop playing Legacy after scooping that game, so he dropped from the league. He just didn't want to play. Oh man.
Yeah. I feel like Mango as well streams a lot, so
yeah.
I can see where it comes up.
All right, we're on the play. That's the winning move.
On the play, and we're 1-1.
Okay. All right.
Pretty good.
This is weird. This is a tricky hand to decide keep or mull.
Yeah, this is a tough one because there was a point where I was like, "This is really fair."
Mm-hmm.
If I draw into a lackey, it's kind of nice because I do already have the Muxus, but I've also got 4 of the 6 lands I need for Muxus if the game does go long.
Right.
It's also nice to have the Expert in hand as just a way to remove an early creature if we're up against something like Delver, which is probably a high percentage.
Right. This hand makes Wasteland look silly. You got literally access to every basic.
Yeah, which is really nice. So I believe we keep.
Yeah, I mean, War Marshal into Expert is like a pretty good plan against most fair decks. And having perfect mana is obviously great. And then, Muxus is a late game thing. If you draw Prospector, you can cast Muxus on turn 3. So, yeah, this is reasonable. All right, land is not preferable, but...
Yeah. Seeing the Flutter Strand, I was kind of happy because I feel like against Tundra decks, Goblins have a pretty good time.
Yeah. Volk.
But then seeing the Volk, I wasn't too fair. Because I didn't really have much going on here, I was pretty happy just to pay the Echo.
Yeah.
As like my turn 2.
Yeah, it's good. That's a good time to pay Echo. How long are we planning on doing this? For as long as the league takes, and we'll chat for a while afterwards. I don't know. Maybe I'll play a game. Underground Sea.
Yeah, this is where it weird. So it's like, okay, this is probably Ant or Tess.
Yeah.
I don't think Doomsday would have gone for like Volk first.
Mm-hmm.
Usually when I see Underground Sea these days, I think of Doomsday.
Yeah. Yeah, this looks like Tess to me, but 2 Underground Seas. Now I'm thinking Ant.
Oof, Eli, you're in for a treat.
Oh no. Oh no, this is him to Turok. Oh my god.
It's Grixis Control.
Okay.
It's pretty cool.
All right.
So we draw the extra land, which is fine.
Well, if we ever cast this Muxus, the game is over, so... Also, War Marshal is, like, very good in this matchup.
Yeah, also, like, Lightning Bolt on the token made me feel really good because if they Lightning Bolted the, like, Mog War Marshal, they might be trying to set up, like, a Plague Engineer, which I guess does it anyway, but it was just interesting to see the bolt on the actual token.
Yeah,
they don't have some sort of sleeper.
That's, like... Watery Grave, oh boy.
Watery Grave was interesting, so it's like, should I be respecting Death Shadow now? Like, should I be getting to a stage where I can swing like lethal in 2 turns instead of trying to like trickle in damage and then allow them to play a Death Shadow?
I wouldn't read into that. They're just like, you've seen Bolt and him main. That just does not sound like Shadow to me. Like Grixis Shadow is already rare, and then to see Grixis Shadow with him main sounds ludicrous.
Yeah. That's fair. So this is an interesting turn because with 4 mana, I can cast anything I draw into.
Yeah.
I have the extra land already for Muxus. If I draw a land, that's great as well because then it's like next turn Muxus.
Mm-hmm.
I believe I played this just because I knew I was up against a deck that's probably going to try to 1-for-1 or 2-for-1 me at times. That I was happy to keep the...
Yeah, they've shown a willingness to build a token, which means their hand is probably more 1-for-1 removals. So just like anything to get more value seems like the play. Is this Kolaghan's Command?
Yeah, so I believe here they kick Mummy in response to me fetching to make me discard.
Okay.
So I do discard a land, which I thought was okay, seeing we had 4 lands still in play.
Yeah, 4 is fine, and you don't want to discard your best card, so... Ooh.
Drew Wasteland. So that's actually pretty interesting because Wasteland is the 5th mana source. So it
Right.
means that we untap and draw a land, we can cast the Muxus. But I think just being a Wasteland player and seeing one red source, I was so happy to take them off that.
Yeah, I guess
And like,
you got to think about like what is like a relevant thing that they can do. Like, I guess Jace Fate Seal would be kind of annoying, but like they have to Fate Seal both lands and spells. So I mean, they might Fate Seal themselves, and then you like punch Jace down to 2, and then if you draw a land, they die.
yeah, it is like looking back, I think a lot of the red spells I don't care about. The only one probably like K command me to discard again because
Right.
then the Muxus is just gone.
Right.
But like I'm happy for like bolts. I'm
Yeah,
happy
yeah.
for like if they're playing like Pyromancer, I probably don't care
Yeah,
that
not
much.
really. Yeah, I think you're probably supposed to hold the Wasteland just because if you draw a land, you win unless they have a force, but then they're down to like 2 cards. So, I mean, you're still in a pretty good spot here.
Yeah, I've never felt so good with a Mog Fanatic. And even a Strix, like I don't really care. And then I saw the Sanctuary, I was like, okay, this is gonna get pretty grindy.
Yeah. I mean,
But at least the Sanctuary wasn't a red source.
right. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think the Wasteland kind of pans out unless you draw a land right here. Ah.
Yeah. we do.
All right, so the game probably would have been over on this turn, but if they had another K command, then like, yeah, you definitely could have gotten kind of stuck. So now you hold, which does kind of tell them. It tells them what's up. It says like, I have a Muxus in my hand because why else would I not Wasteland you?
Yeah, and I think that there's it's a weird one because I want to play the land so that if I top deck a land, I can cast Muxus. But there's also a world where I keep the land to save the Muxus from the K command discard that I know is coming.
I mean, I think I would hope that they don't have a red source, but then why would they get the K command back? That'd be kind of weird.
Yeah, I feel like I should have seen that as a tell that they do have the red source in hand and they're just keeping it for now.
Right. All right. Goodbye, Muxus.
Luckily, they actually they hit a token and allow me to take the draw.
Wow.
Which is pretty huge.
So these 2 War Marshals have like absorbed like how many cards at this point?
We draw Matron.
All right. That's not bad, but it's not a land.
So here, again, I was a bit like, what do I get? We have 2 mana open, so I was moving towards getting something like a Pile Driver, because it can just get through the Strixer at 10 as well.
Right. Yeah, Pile Driver's appealing. It forces, like, they've spent a lot of removal on these War Marshal tokens. They have to have more. And yeah, the problem with Pile Driver is that if they have a snap, and snap K command just like really ruins your whole day. I'm kind of interested in getting Gem Palm here because it lets you keep attacking. You get rid of the Strix, you draw cards, so K command doesn't mean you discard the Muxus.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's actually a really good one that I probably should have thought about more because I think I got the Pile Driver. Yeah,
I mean, Pile Driver is probably the second best choice because it's like it does make him have it.
It also made me rethink if I wanted to attack here or not. I still attacked in just to keep damage like applying in case they drew into like a main deck Plague Engineer because it makes a Pile Driver a 0/1.
Yeah, I mean you do give up 2 damage on the Pile Driver, but you get 1 damage this turn, so it's like oh, here's the Snapcaster.
Yeah, his snap into K command, which really hurt.
Yeah, and an Angler.
And then the last card was an Angler.
Classic.
Which is tough. As a 5/5,
yeah,
it's a tough card to deal with.
Yeah.
I'm sure you've dealt with many anglers.
Oh yeah, I know this feeling. I know it well.
Right, we drew the port.
Yeah. So
Which isn't too bad because it means
yeah, it's just like this that Wasteland like 2 turns ago. Definitely had a big cost, but it's Jace. Yeah.
Yeah. Fate Seal me straight away.
Yeah.
So I believe they topped. And this definitely made me start thinking about like fetches and like, okay, if I get a fetch, I should definitely use it in response to a Jace. Like if they keep something on top, I can use it to shuffle, which is nice.
Yep.
But yeah, the 2-for-1s definitely added up. Like the him, the K command.
Yeah.
Even things like Strix wasn't too bad because we did get, like we traded it with a Mog War Marshal. So
yeah, I think you actually traded up on cards for most of this game, and then it was just the back-to-back K commands were like the things that mattered. But I think that only really mattered as much as it did because of the Wasteland.
Yeah, I blocked here because I thought there's a situation where I won't be able to block again.
Yeah.
Like they might have like one removal spell, bounce with Jace, and then attack.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, the Goblin token isn't doing too much, so I might as well try to use it.
Yep.
Ponder is a shuffle, and then Brainstorm's a fresh look. And then, just really getting everything out of the way.
Yeah. But here you want to draw like Sling Gang or something, and draw another line.
Yeah. I think again it was just Jace, Fade Seal, Deep, which is pretty tough. But the basics really got me. Oh, sorry, the Shocklands.
I guess they're just on a budget thing. Manolier Meow, thanks for the follow. Yeah, and so you drew 4 lands in a row. Like
yeah, which is fair enough. I mean, that's exactly what Jace is there to do. So
yeah, but all, like, did they even bottom on the Fate Seals?
No, they topped all.
Okay, so you just had 4 lands on top of your deck. So like, okay.
Yep. Nice. All right.
So this was winnable, but like I understand like why it went the way it did, but I do think like if you get the jump home there, you're probably fine.
Yep.
Because then they're gonna go like snap. They might snap him, so you lose the Muxus regardless. But then they wouldn't get back the Strix, which may have drawn them the Angler kind of thing, you know?
Yeah, exactly. And I think as well, going back to that Wasteland as well, it's just a case of, although this Wasteland's really nice and I can take them off red, A, is red really that important for them? And B, is this mana, as literally just one colorless mana, better for me?
Mm-hmm.
And I think it was better for me.
Yeah. And I think, you might, like, even, 5 mana is pretty, like, even if you don't have the Muxus in your hand, 5 mana is, like, a very, like, good place to be as far as Goblins, because that means you can Matron for 2-drop and play it in the same turn, which is, like, a pretty important play pattern. Especially against a deck like Grixis, which takes out your hand so quickly, whereas you want to Matron for things that you can use immediately almost all the time.
Yeah, definitely. I wasn't sure either if my opponent was switched on and I played a Wasteland and passed and they knew they had like 1 red source, would that be a tell that I have a really important card that's just a little bit more expensive? Like, would they sniff out Muxus from that? I don't think so.
Maybe. I don't know. I probably they like, I don't know, like there's very few reasons why you wouldn't Wasteland there aside from Muxus, right? From their perspective.
Yeah.
So probably.
Yeah. Game 2?
Yep.
All right.
I don't believe I have Grixis Control on my sideboard guide because no one plays that deck. So how'd you sideboard here?
I think you did have something close to it.
Oh, maybe I do. Here, right click on. Yeah. You can right click on the screen and pull up the sideboarding.
All right. So I took out 2 lackeys, 1 war chief, 1 Mog War Marshal, and 1 Muxus.
Oh, this looks like looks like Grixis Delver sideboarding.
Maybe, yeah.
Because I wouldn't want to cut the Muxuses against Grixis Control.
Okay. Yeah, especially because the games go long.
Right. Yeah, the deck is very slow. And
1 Sling Gang.
Yeah, Sling Gang's like a hedge against Plague Engineer. I think I would shave a Prospector over Sling Gang just as like it's also a 1/1, but Sling Gang is like a much better draw. Like Skirk is really bad when your hand is getting eaten. And I might have boarded in the 3rd Reb or the Eric Squad. Eric Squad exiling Plague Engineers or the K commands can really tilt the late game in your favor.
Yeah, that's very true. One thing I really needed to be aware of is that Prowl isn't an ETB cost. It's an alternate cost if you deal damage.
Right.
Yeah. Just a little thing.
Over Sunbee, thanks for the follow.
All right. So this is the opener.
Oh, yeah, Pyrokinesis. This is definitely Delver sideboarding.
Yeah, which I was like, okay, this kind of makes sense, like for things like Plague Engineer, Baleful Strix, Snapcaster, like to get them out of the way.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely ways to get value off of it, but it is you generally don't want to sideboard Pyrokinesis against any Hemp-to-Turok decks.
Yeah, that's very true. And I think if anything, I should have sideboarded Fury because it hits Planeswalkers.
Oh yeah, Fury is actually very good in this matchup, I would imagine, because like hard casting it is amazing, and then hitting Planeswalkers, 3/3 double strike is very, very strong. Doesn't get fatal push. They have to have bolt specifically.
Yeah, and Pyrokinesis, sorry, Fury is 4 damage as well.
Mm-hmm.
So it means you can like attack him with like a bunch of like 1/1 goblins into a Gomag, and then post main phase like try to kill it, which is pretty cool.
Yep.
I thought this hand was fine.
Oh yeah,
especially around K command, we have 2 vials, which is really nice.
Double vial port.
And access to a basic once again, which is pretty cool. But in this matchup, I knew I didn't have to play around Wasteland, which is nice.
Yeah, you can just get bad lands and be happy.
Yeah. I played the vial off the port because I thought my opponent might see this as like me having weak mana and relying on the vial. So I was trying to like bait out a force.
That's reasonable.
And this is actually an interesting one because I wasn't sure if I wanted to port or play the vial, but because they played a fetch lane, I was happy just to play out the second vial instead of holding up port.
Yeah, maybe that is a cost of playing the port, because they might not like ponder on turn 1 when they otherwise would, because they don't want to get ported.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's very true. Good insight. I like that. So yeah, play second file and then like hold up Tarfire or whatever.
Right. Red Blast.
Yeah, there we go. Red Blast makes more sense.
I mean, you're in a pretty good spot here now because you have Lackey into Creator Maker, your blocker to Matron. So
yeah, really nice curve.
Yeah. And they got an island so that you're not getting himmed.
Exactly, that was a big point. And also, like, Brainstorm, put 2 cards back, draw 1, then ponder. I was pretty happy with that because I felt like they were trying to dig for something.
Yeah, their hand can't be exciting if this is what's going on.
All right, so end step, we fatal push check with the Lackey.
Yeah.
Oh, they had it. Oh, no way.
Cantrips, what? How did they work?
Yes. Oh, so lucky opponent. So yeah, vials to 2, vials to 1. One thing that I did recognize throughout this match is just like, once you have double vial, what sort of numbers to keep them on.
Mm-hmm.
Third land here was really nice.
Yeah.
I think we just we fetched so we could hold up port.
Yeah, I like this. This means you're not going to get K commanded and you're not going to get himmed. Playing Matron here is just like, first of all, it exposes it to a force which it should not be exposed to, and allows you to port. Like, they can't get rid of the vials. Like, it seems like pure upside just to port rather than play the Matron. Yeah, it's only bad against Thoughtseize. Like, Thoughtseize is the only punish, and if they got Thoughtseize, then you just like whatever you Matron for would have gotten Thoughtseized.
Yeah, very true. Also gives us a nice time to draw into Wasteland to try to waste this land before they can untap with 3.
Yep.
And put in Creator Maker.
I think you're actually supposed to. I think you're actually supposed to hold the Creator Maker.
Okay. Yeah, that's another thing because like you can wait for the Baleful Strix, but I was like, do I just try to get some damage going?
Well, I don't want a Creator Maker Baleful Strix. I want a Creator Maker Plague Engineer.
Okay, yeah, very true.
And like you're gonna have the vial onto next turn anyway, so it's like you have the opportunity to always have Creator Maker open.
Yeah, that's really good. I like that a lot.
So I think you just hold it. I mean, you have the Pyrokinesis, so it's like you're not gonna get locked out by Plague Engineer, but I mean, getting in 2 damage is not nothing. But
a little bit of a weird play, but I kept the land in hand because we had the vials. I wanted to put myself in a situation where I could actually Matron for Ringleader in response to a him. Or some creature and keep it.
Yeah. No, that's fair. You don't need the 4th land in play right now.
Yeah, I felt like with the vials going up, the 4th land didn't really do too much if I missed the 1 land drop.
Yep.
What do you reckon it is?
Strix or is this?
Angler.
Okay.
Which I wasn't too unhappy about, seeing like what we have on board.
Thoughts on Fury versus Pyrokinesis? In general, Pyrokinesis is better. Instant speed's really important in Legacy. Fury is like a more value-oriented thing, but it's much worse in some specific matchups. Much worse against Vile decks. It's much worse against... it doesn't do anything against Oops, whereas Pyrokinesis does. Much worse against Elves. Pyrokinesis being instant against Elves is really important for stopping Glimpse Chains. Or like doing stuff in response to untaps from like Symbiote or whatever. Much worse against Hogak. So if you should always play 2 Pyrokinesis before you play your first Fury, and I'm not even convinced that the first Fury is always better than the third Pyrokinesis. Yeah, Vengevine's another big one. If you're forced to main phase your Fury all the time, then they like bring back the Vengevine that you just killed. That sucks. All right, I believe this is the easiest matron for Ringleader ever.
Please get Ringleader.
Yeah.
Please get.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, nice. All right. So I'm pretty happy here to go to 3 and 4.
Yep. Yeah, you got it.
Mainly because I have 2 mana for port and then 2 mana to cast a 2 mana spell if I get into one off the Ringleader.
Yep. I mean, you could stack the Vile triggers and get fancy, and then Violin the Ringleader in your upkeep and decide, like, if you hit multiple 2-drops, then you might leave it on 2.
Yeah, great point, yeah.
But thankfully, rewarded because you drew a land, so, like, it's better.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, yeah. Fury's seeing play in the Bizarre Bind decks. Draw 3? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so we get Tarfire, Pashalik Mons, and Lackey.
All right.
So this is probably where I could have sequenced it maybe differently. I'm not too sure, but we get obviously 3 cards in hand here. And then I do want to deal with the Gomag right now to just keep pressure going and get my creatures in. So I believe play the land, put in the Pashalik Mons first, just in case they have like a bolt or something. And now I go for Pyrokinesis on the Angler, pitching the Goblin Lackey.
Yeah, because the Lackey kind of sucks.
Yeah, and my plan was to Tarfire this. I believe they Hydroblast it.
Feels bad.
Yeah, so now I just go for Tarfire first to make sure this has 2 damage on it, and then 2 from the Crater Maker and 1 from the Pashalik Mons kills it.
Yep. Yeah.
I wasn't sure if there was like a different way to do it.
I think if your Pyrokinesis is resolved, then you don't use the Tarfire or the Crater Maker, you just activate Pashalik and sacrifice Matron.
Ah, nice. Yeah. Yep, cool.
But nice. as it was, you're kind of... Man, that Hydroblast really sucks.
Yeah, Hydroblast is really good against this deck. Especially in a deck with Snapcast the Mage.
Yep.
So here we see a K-Command taking out Pashalik and a Vile.
Yeah, it feels bad.
But they had nothing.
Okay.
So the race goes on. We have a 4-turn clock.
Got a Delver. Build ourselves a Delver.
I always keep a land in hand just in case of K-Command. I don't want to discard a creature that I draw into.
Yep.
Just as a bit of like backup. So there is Snap on Hydroblast.
Okay.
Get rid of the 2/2 just to save some face. Activate the Vial. Always. Keep them guessing. Even though they're tapped out.
Alright, do you go to 4 or do you stay at 3?
So here I believe I keep it 3 just because I think with how we sideboarded oh no, that's a different match. I think I keep it 3, yeah.
Yeah.
And paid off, which is really nice.
The exact reason to keep it 3 is because of Matron, because you can Matron for Muxus. Whereas if you draw a Matron and you're at 4, then you kind of have to get Ringleader, which is probably worse in this. Is obviously worse in this state. So yeah. Muxus.
Right. How many creatures do you reckon I hit? I need a number before I click.
4.
Here we go.
4. I'm gonna
4?
go 4, yeah. Bauer, thanks for the follow. Could be like 0. Oh, I hit 3. Nice. Oh, double pile driver.
I guess 4. I guess 4 with the
yeah, 4 with the yeah.
Yep.
Wow, they're dead.
So happy to.
They're dead unless they have Deluge.
Yeah, exactly. It's pretty tough for them. especially double matron.
Double pile driver.
Let it go through. Double pile driver, sorry. Munitions expert's fine. They try to bolt one of the pile drivers, but then we just have the expert as well, just for like a little bit of finesse. Not really needed.
Yeah, it's just totally lethal without it, but you know, gotta flex. Gotta flex.
Yeah. Yeah, good to get game 2.
Nice.
All right. There was a third. Definitely, yeah. I think like in that game, like a lot of little things that I could have worked on, but nice that the deck kind of smooths out and kind of allows you to recover from your mistakes. But I do feel like Goblins is a deck where if you get a turn 2 or turn 3 play wrong, you're gonna
regret
realize that on turn.
Yeah.
Like turn 12, you're gonna like lose the game because of that one play.
Right.
It's gonna snowball.
Yep. Did you change your sideboarding at all?
I don't think I did.
Okay.
I definitely should have, but I thought this was okay.
Yeah, this pyrokinesis is yikes.
Interesting.
The sand's good.
So turn 1 lucky have an answer for anything, mainly Plague Engineer, and then Passionate Mons is nice against their removals. So
yeah, this hand is like good against. This hand's very, very insulated against Plague Engineer.
Yeah, which is pretty fantastic.
Ooh, pile drivers.
Draw a pile driver as well, which is great. So I believe here we see a bolt.
Honestly, happy with with Lackey trading with a bolt at that point.
Yeah, definitely.
Seems
especially because I feel like the utility creatures just have such a big effect.
Well, it's just like anytime Lackey is actually trading with cards, you're happy.
Yeah.
On a small thing here, I think I would use the fetch there. Because if you got like himmed and it hit your fetch and then you drew like a jump palm or a red blast, then you wouldn't be able to use it.
Yeah, nice. I think I just tunnel visioned into Jace, and I was trying to get to a situation where I could just draw lands and keep the fetches.
Okay.
But
I mean that's like not unreasonable.
I think it's pretty far away though as well.
Yeah,
so probably not something to have to consider so early on. Okay, come on, discard. I discard the pyrokinesis.
Yep.
Because it should be in the sideboard.
Yeah.
And here I believe that is double spell because I want to cast the ringleader next turn of the Skirk at worst, and I just want to get the Creator Maker into play, but I think that's also pretty aggressive. But the only reason I did this is because I can keep up the Skirk to use the Creator Maker if they do play a Plague Engineer.
Yeah, if they play Engineer and then you go like sack Skirk in response for red and then Creator Maker the Engineer, so it's like not that bad.
Yeah.
And I think you do want a couple creatures on board because of Jace.
Yeah, exactly. So Cakemon here made me discard. I chose to discard the Pashlik Mons because I felt like these 2-for-1s are really adding up that I want the Ringleader to like recoup some of that value.
Yeah, you gotta hope to draw the land, but it's really good if you do draw the land. Yeah. Like losing the Pashlik sucks, but jeez. Hitting Mystic Sanctuary in your Grixis Control deck seems egregious.
Yes, to get back Cakemon and then Ponder.
All right.
Do you reckon they kept? So really here, all I wanted was a land.
Just land, please. Nice. Never didn't have it.
Yeah, pretty good. Yeah.
All right, Ringleader.
Did we hit any creatures?
All right, Ringleader, do your thing.
Yeah.
Come on. Let's go. Draw 4. All right, draw 2, but it's two very good cards.
Really good ones. Yeah.
Yeah, that chalice should not be. That chalice should be a goblin that you would have drawn.
Yeah, that's very true. That's just bad sideboarding by me.
I mean, you're probably just looking at the Grixis Delver. Oh, they have a Jace. Okay.
So this was interesting. I believe I went for Matron into Tarfire because then I could kill the Jace, and I thought it was worth getting this Jace off the board.
Yeah. Yeah, it's basically 1 for wanting a Jace because they Fate Sealed, but like that's whatever, and then you spend your Matron. Basically, you're trading Matron with Jace, but you get to keep a 1/1, so you're actually like up on cards at the end of the day.
Yeah, so I did this all pre-main phase or pre-attack phase, so I knew if I had to attack the Jace or not, because if the Tarfire doesn't, I think I just go face. But it's tough.
That is tough.
Yeah. Just because they're at 12, like
right, it's like tempting.
So close, yeah. But like as you said, one Deluge, one Plague Engineer, and like it's all changed.
Mm-hmm.
So they
Click.
cast
Wow.
Click. Yeah.
Okay.
Really interesting. They bottom the pile driver, and I draw Port.
Okay.
So I trade with the Click and then just attack in for 3.
Mm-hmm.
Play the Port, which is nice because I can keep them off the Volcanic. And I thought at this stage, like, Violin hand is probably okay, seeing they're probably down to just like not playing K commands and probably just playing not playing hymns and probably just playing K commands. So just the one card in hand is fine. And if I get them to K command and one of the options is to destroy the vial, I kind of feel like that's a win.
Right, because the vial doesn't really matter at this point.
Exactly, yeah. Like I'd much rather than kill the vial than like try to like return a creature or
yeah, all the other modes are worse for you than Shatter.
Yeah, and there they go. So they actually return the V-Click and kill the vial. So that was pretty sweet.
That's my opinion on Grenzo and Goblin Settler.
Still have no mana up for the V-Click.
Oh, internet dipped for a second there. I think we're good though. Grenzo is sick but not good, and Goblin Settler is unplayable. That's my opinion.
So opponent here in a pretty interesting position because we do have the Port on their 1 red source.
Right.
And here they just go to cast the Click. They target themselves, obviously just trying to get some cards going, and Force of Will is obviously going to the bottom. We draw another land, not the greatest, but I do just want to keep pressuring, so I just bash in.
Yep.
See how far the Matron can go. Upkeep, tap down here, they put in Snap, and I believe they K command us.
Yep, Click, yeah. Okay, sure.
Draw land, nice. Take them off the red source. I thought like if we're just drawing 1 land a turn, or 1 card a turn doesn't really matter. But at the same time, it's obviously nice to have multiple lands in hand or in play for Ringleader, so you can cast multiple spells.
Yeah, I think you'll probably play out 1 more land if you get the opportunity, but like other than that, you can probably just hold them for hymns and such.
Yeah, and the fetches are nice as well if we do get sort of Jace locked again.
Right.
So Brainstorm, no fetch, or no shuffle, sorry. Into Narset, which I guess is semi-shuffle. Find a Hydroblast.
All right. Well, with 2 caverns, the Hydroblast doesn't actually matter all that much. It's just like a removal spell. Oh, you did?
So I draw the red Elemental Blast, but I didn't think that these were like game-winning spells. I really wanted to keep this for like a Jace.
Okay.
Or to counter the Hydroblast if they want to like target something like a Muxus once it's on the field.
Right.
Especially being at 19 life.
Why didn't you port them?
The Snapcaster was broken. Because I forgot.
Okay.
I believe I did it. Yeah, so I did it at end of combat.
All right, that's second best time to do it. I think the only real punish there is if they do go Jace and then they have mana up for the Hydroblast. I was thinking just Hydroblast the Narset because this Reb is always getting countered by Hydroblast, almost always. Anyway, so like just take the opportunity to like not give them another card because we know that they're like they don't have a whole lot going on, evidently.
Yeah. So I just remembered my one reasoning for not porting there in the upkeep was I kind of wanted them to play a Jace, and then I could go port blue source, untap port blue source, and then red Elemental Blast the Jace if I really needed to. Like I could.
Can't you do that? Wait, can't you do that if you port upkeep though? Like still?
Yes, but if they play like port upkeep, then they can play a land.
Right, and then the Jace resolves, but that would happen anyway with your line.
Yep. So they'd have a 4 mana. They haven't played a land yet, have they?
I don't think so.
No. So if they go like Jace, land, play Jace, and then they have land open for Hydroblast on Red Elemental Blast.
Then on your upkeep, you port the.
Yeah, that's actually true. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. For some reason, I thought that the extra port activation would help. But thankfully, they didn't really cast anything until second main.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't attack either. I assume because of Munitions Expert, perhaps, but...
Yeah, they're probably just scared of, like, being as low as they're probably just scared of haste creatures.
Yeah.
More lands,
So we draw a card. I believe they click here.
Okay.
And because I know about the Hydro Blast, I do go for tap down here as a just in case to see if they don't float, but they do.
Okay.
And so I actually just let this resolve.
Yeah.
Because I'd much rather just draw into a threat that I can go to second main and cast. And I think they definitely take this if they see it.
Right. Oh, you don't draw anything because of the Narset, yeah.
Yeah, which is a huge misplay. And I should have thought about that a little bit more. I just didn't think of the static ability.
Yeah, I didn't think about that either, just because it's never relevant against goblins.
Exactly, yeah. I was like, I'll let this resolve, but I should have definitely at least traded the blast for the blast.
Right.
Yeah. So in a tough spot, there's the Jace.
Well, those fetches.
Yeah.
Ooh, draw matron. Are they dead? I think they're dead. Are you one short? You're one short of killing them with Sling Gang.
So here I go pretty greedy and just go for Ringleader and just say, let's go wide.
I mean, since you don't have the kill, I think that makes sense.
All right. So with the Ringleader, do we hit?
Gotta.
We hit Munitions Expert and Mog War Marshal.
Okay.
Which isn't too bad.
Yeah, it's not like the most exciting Ringleader ever, but it's not bad.
Yeah, so here I attack the Narset. Only because I wasn't sure if my opponent was on like a Days Undoing build.
I don't like.
That was the only build that I was really
I don't like attacking with your only X2 there, because that means Engineer just like absolutely ruins you.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. So they click.
It bounced. Okay. Sure. Ooh, now they're dead.
They take Munitions Expert. Yeah, and they reveal the sling, which is pretty cool.
Here's a fish.
We still know about the Hydroblast as well.
Right. Can't Hydroblast a black spell.
Exactly. So untap, cast the Mog through Cavern, and then cast Sling Gang through Cavern. I believe they Hydroblast one of the creatures in response, or Fatal Push.
Yeah, it just doesn't matter.
But then, of course, we just have Lethal, which is pretty nice. Yeah. So pretty sweet one to come back from.
Yeah, you were in a bit of a bind there with the click lock, like it's 2014.
Yeah. But like even little things like not blasting with Narset in play, not porting in upkeep. But yeah, I mean, luckily
as it turns out, that Hydroblast never even got cast, which is kind of funny.
Yeah. Which is pretty classic, but yeah, it felt pretty good. Grixis feels pretty tough. It's just like a creature-based deck, like things like Bolt and Fatal Push. Not as bad against Goblins because a lot of your creatures do give value.
Yeah, it's like the 1/1 removal doesn't scale super well a lot of the time. But the Grixis matchup was always like, I mean, that's why I played Polaris Stronghold in the first place, because here, like, the thing about Grixis is that it has very narrow angles of attack. Of like, it's only good against like creatures, and that's like about it, right? You know, they have like some discard spells, but like most of the combo decks play 4 Veil of Summers, like, so I mean, this is why Grixis is not like a good deck anymore. It's just like it's only good against creatures, and you can't beat Uro ever. You can't, you know, Veil ruins your whole plans, all of your plans, all the time.
Yeah, it feels a bit like Jund in regards to like Uro. Like you have like Cling to Dust. That's about it.
Right. So,
which is,
I mean, I'm glad you took it down for sure. It's like you know, you got K commanded like 3 times or whatever, and you still won, which is pretty sick.
Yeah, really crazy. I mean, yeah, K command twice and then once off the Mystic Sanctuary.
Right. Yeah.
But I mean, I think beats they get in.
Yeah, it's like the tokens really matter. And like in that game 1, they like bolted a Mog War Marshal token twice. Like that's card advantage.
Yeah. It was really nice.
And it was only, you know, like the 3rd or 4th, you know, 2-for-1 that like actually got you. And you know, it was like, I think like the game 1 was really when you mentioned for Pile Driver and got punished, like hard punished by Snap K command. Like that's really what cost the game. But other than that, like, you were keeping up just fine, and they were dying on board like ever so slowly to the double war marshals. Pretty fortunate they didn't draw an engineer this game though.
Yeah, definitely. Especially seeing they had a few looks like Honda Brainstorm, Jace, Brainstorm at least. Narset, I guess, can't find creature, but
right. I guess that
still,
Jace,
I'd love to know.
the Jace Fate Sealed and bounced, Fate Sealed once and bounced once. They actually only brainstormed once, right?
Yeah, probably actually pretty close to that. Yeah, that's very true.
So
nice,
working out. All right, nice.
All right, what you want? All right, close your eyes.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Sadly, this one I didn't record on my end, but I'll have to go back through this and record it.
Oh, I see what you mean. Okay.
Yeah, because I recorded all these games on my side as well.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
All right, so on the draw, unknown opponent. I believe I played against them a fair few times, but I don't usually recognize names and decks too quickly.
Okay.
All right, so we have interesting hand, 3 lands, obviously great against blue decks with the caverns. Turn 1 Lackey into Matron into like Muxus is probably the dream, or we just have Lackey into Ringleader.
Yeah, if this is like a combo deck, this is like one of our stronger hands against combo. You know, like this hand could reasonably race a decent number of show and tell or doomsday hands, because you can dodge counter magic entirely, and you have mana denial and a Lackey, so like that's exactly what you want. And then against a fair deck, you know, double cavern is probably pretty good. This is only like this hand's like probably bad against, you know, a fair non-blue deck, but that's about it. Even then, it's like not that bad. It's just like kind of vulnerable to Wasteland.
Yeah, really nice as well to be able to pivot from turn 2. Like, do we want to port or do we just want to apply pressure through Pile Driver?
You get some options there.
I believe I kept this. Yeah. All right, so we see Forest into Exploration. This is where I was a little bit like, oh god, especially with the Reclaimer turn 1.
Oh, it's
Second
lands?
Lackey was kind of nice.
Oh god. All right, hold on. I gotta sign something real quick to mail.
Yeah, easy.
Yeah. All right.
All right. Hey chat. Hope you're well. Goblins is a sweet deck. I'm sure a few of you in chat are Goblin experts or fanatics of the deck, but really enjoyable. I can see how it's a deck that if you sink your teeth into, a little bit like this warrior here, you can get really rewarded. Even if the deck isn't well positioned, I feel like a good Goblins pilot is going to do pretty well in most metagames, which is cool. So big shout outs to Eli while he's muted. Dude is a big bonus to the community, not just the Goblins community, but also the Legacy community, Magic community in general. So shout outs to Eli. And I hope you get some nice mail.
All right. I'm back. So I had to sign something. I'm for my visa.
No, that's cool. All good. Okay. Turn 1 Lucky.
It's the one deck our hand is bad against. Great.
Yeah, so Maze and Wasteland felt pretty tough.
Oh, now they get Tabernacle.
And then of course Tabernacle, yeah. So I think you would just play the Cavern because it's the land I care about the least.
Yep.
Because Port is another answer for another Mazavith, which is great, and this is actually a red source or black source if I need it.
Yeah. Yeah, in non-blue matchups, Badlands is the best land.
Yeah. So here we see an interesting thing. They pay for the Reclaimer like this, which I think next turn I'll mention what I want to say here. But they play Maze and then pass back.
Okay.
So they have 2 mana producing lands and then 2 non-mana producing lands.
Mm-hmm.
So I pay for the Lackey. We draw another Lackey.
Okay.
We play it because we have like play second Lackey, untap, port the Maze, and then we can just swing both into the Reclaimer and at least get one through.
It doesn't work because you have to pay for Tabernacle, so you can't port.
It does. I believe you actually don't even play it just to hold up port and...
right, because if they do something weird like Reclaimer in their upkeep and then sack it, then you will be able to port the Maze.
Yeah, very true. So again here,
This tabernacle's hurting them about as much as it's hurting us, which is kind of funny.
Yeah, so what I thought they would do here, and maybe they're not playing it, is use 2 mana to sack one of their lands for Yavimaya, so that these start tapping for mana. At least the Tabernacle, because they probably want to keep the maze up.
Right.
But they obviously didn't, so I think they're probably not playing Yavimaya if this is what they're doing. And I mean, making the Elvish Reclaimer a 3/4 is also pretty huge.
Right. Yeah.
By putting that third Lens in. So again,
but they can do that. I know they can't do that right now. So yeah.
All right. So we pay.
Okay, that's not bad.
So we're getting closer.
I wonder if you're actually supposed to play the port last turn, because if you pay with port and then draw... Oh, no, never mind. You would not be able to expert the Reclaimer, because they would just... Oh, no, they didn't have mana to activate it. Yeah. So if you'd played the port and then paid with port, paid for Tabernacle with port, and then you drew expert, you would be able to expert the Reclaimer.
Yes, but then they would have maze for the lackey.
Right, but we do want to kill this Reclaimer. Yeah,
that's very true, yeah.
And now okay. Oh, now you port. Yeah, I like porting the Grove. Yep. I have 3 mazes. Lol. Okay.
Yeah, so now we get to deal with 1, unless they have crop rotation, which I was like, I can't really play around that anyway, unless I want to take the time to like tap down the forest, but then they have the other Grove anyway, so they did have it.
I don't even know if wasting the... Like, how valuable is this lackey hit, really?
Yeah, that's very true. Like, maybe it's a case of just casting my spells instead of being tunnel visioned into getting the lackey effect, which I think I was. Maybe just tunnel vision to actually getting value off Goblin Lackey, where I could have just used that mana instead. Which, going back is probably where I want to be. Because, like, I do Ringleader here, and I believe I go up to 8 cards, which isn't great. Yeah, I hit all 4, which is fantastic. But in this situation,
it's like,
I kind of just want mana.
Yeah, you can't really do it. I mean, at least you're not drawing 4 non-lands in a row, but yeah. I think it might have been better to actually just drop Lackey with Lackey, so that you can potentially... Okay. Yeah, now you're in this really awkward spot.
Yeah, so 2 cards in hand. They've already used a crop. They're passing with nothing up. I can assume they're trying to like copy something or combo.
Right. Why'd you discard Pile Driver instead of like Gem Palm?
So I bottomed the Pile Driver because I thought that maybe Gem Palm was my answer to a Reclaimer. Now that it's a 3/4.
Yeah.
I was also thinking about dropping the Sling Gang just because it's 4 mana.
No, Sling Gang I think is like the best card in your hand here actually, because it's your way to actually push damage suddenly, you know?
Yeah, okay, no, that makes sense. So Matron's obviously great. Like if we go back a turn and we still have the Pile Driver in hand. So I think it mainly came down to me just having 2 Pile Drivers.
That's fair.
That was a double up.
Okay. Yeah.
But at the same time, it is cheap. It is a cheap creature. It is something that has to be mazed or it's going to be dealing a ton of damage.
Right.
So maybe there is like a line where just like double Pile Driver is what wins me the game in like 2 or 3 turns instead of 5 or 6.
Like, yeah, if you like draw, I don't know, it kind of has to start with like a wasteland for the tab, and then like maybe you get a War Chief around, and then you can double Pile Driver them. Yeah, I think the Pile Driver is better than Gem Palm or Crater Maker here, probably.
Okay. Yeah, I think Crater Maker was probably the weakest because the 2 damage means nothing, and a Mox Diamond here means nothing anyway.
Yep.
So I don't pay for the Ringleader because I want to cast some more creatures.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I want to put down the maze so I can actually get through.
Yeah. They just have another... Oh, they don't have another crop rotation. Okay.
I think you ought to go for Muxus. No, I go for the Warren, in case they do just go for the combo.
I don't really like that, because, like, why would they main phase it? Like,
it's a sorcery.
Yeah. Like, once you get the Worm Weirding, it just, like, tells them what to do.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, you discard the other pile driver. I think you just discard something that's not pile driver, and I think you're supposed to matron for Skirk there.
Yeah, okay, that makes a lot of sense. I think I can really start putting out some creatures.
Skirk is your way to nullify Tabernacle, because then if you get like the Sling Gang in play, you can start sacking the tokens to pay for other stuff. And so basically, the play pattern with Skirk against Tabernacle is that you sacrifice half your board to pay for the other half, and you leave all your lands untapped for your turn.
Yeah, okay.
So your hand has so much gas that like you can actually just maintain that level of like losing material because you just have like infinite material here.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a great play. Because I definitely don't want to give my opponent more time to find the combo because I don't have a great answer to it.
Right. Imagine having Goblin Settler here. Yeah, uncastable. I love my 4-mana Stone Rain that you can't get into play ever.
Play the second lackey.
Yep.
I believe they
have crop here. Well, if they have crop here, then you go to 1, and you have Warren Weirding. So
yeah,
did you concede?
I did concede early.
Yeah, you're not.
Concede very early.
You're actually not even close to dead unless they have a punishing fire.
Yeah, which. Yeah, it's pretty tough now that I actually look back on this game because
it's very winnable.
For some reason, I just didn't consider being at 21 for some reason. I just thought it was going to be a one hit being tapped out.
Yeah,
but all right,
it's understandable.
Game 2.
That's kind of a frustrating game, but I do think like matroning or dropping the ringleader with the lackey, even though it drew you 4 cards, was probably worse than dropping the second lackey or dropping matron for Skirk.
Yeah, especially because I already had cards in hand. I don't need more cards in hand. I need stuff on the battlefield, and that's what lackey does.
Yep. Yeah, I think Skirk is the MVP in this matchup. You basically always want to see it. Wow, that sounds great.
Yeah, Skirk seems sweet. Yeah, this sounds really nice. I think Vile decks against lands is like my favorite card ever.
Yeah.
Force of Vigor has changed it and Blaststone to some effect, but I think that like Vile allows you to then use your ports or wastelands either pretty aggressively or for your creatures.
Yeah, like nice. I mean, in that last game, if you had a Vile, like that game is easy, honestly.
Yeah, and we're only playing 2 Leylines in the board, so having 1 in the opener, I'm not going to like mulligan aggressively for this, and this is a hand that actually has like a plan as well.
Yeah.
It just needs like 1 sort of threat to put in off lackey and then we're good. But like turn 1 Vile, turn 2 Port is really nice, especially if we have Leyline start.
Yeah. And even if they have Force of Vigor, you have another Vile, so like...
Yeah, that was the third thing. So we have 3 targets for Force, which they can only deal with 2, so...
Yeah.
Pretty nice.
I also think like...
we just go...
Sorry.
Yeah. No, you go.
I think the thing with lands... Force of Vigor is really good. But all their green cards are really important. So, like, Force Pitch Exploration, fine. Force Pitch Life from the Limb, fine. You know, Force Pitch Crop Rotation, extremely fine. Like, you know, like, unless it's crippling, you're generally fine with them pitching the green cards because those are their best cards.
Yeah. Yeah, very true. Even Reclaimer against this deck is pretty good.
Yeah.
Like, I'd be happy to see Reclaimer go.
Yep.
I just go for a basic here.
Yep, gotta get that basic, yeah.
They exile Pachuca Bog, which is interesting. I thought Pachuca Bog might just be a cut from the deck.
Yeah, they probably just forgot.
Anything.
Like,
yeah. But they play turn 1 Mox so they can hold up Port here and just Port the Mountain.
I wonder if there's an argument to lead on. It's just like you don't have anything to do with the lackey. So like if you had anything to put in off lackey, I think you would actually lead on lackey there, so they can't like Force of Vigor and like set you back to 0.
Yeah.
So like because like if their answer to lackey is Punishing Fire, then that means the Punishing Fire is getting exiled 100%.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Field.
They play a field.
Okay.
So that kind of makes me think, okay, I've got to finish this game pretty quick because field's going to overtake this game if I don't find a wasteland or if they find like exploration, Valakut exploration to go off because that doesn't really care about Leyline.
Right. I mean, they're quite a long ways from doing that. Okay, that's fine. P-Fire. Just shock here.
Exactly, yeah. To get exiled off the ley line's kind of a pretty big win, especially seeing we have a backup lackey. We don't really care.
Yeah, the first lackey did not matter at all.
Yeah. Which is always really nice.
Oh, and we draw the matron, but so good.
I believe here we just pass with port, because what we can do is end step, lackey, untap, port, violin, matron, and get like Muxus or something.
Yep.
Nice. So the only colored mana at the moment is the Mox, which is pretty interesting.
So either they need crop rotation for Maze here, which like puts them really far behind anyway to not die, and then they just like lose the next turn to the port. So they're in a pretty bad spot here. Maybe they have a second P fire, but that's like even that's fine. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I mean getting that exiled is pretty great. Files go to 3 and 2. We draw for turn.
Oh, that's
second port.
That's amazing.
Which is pretty nice because it keeps them off their port. But I think you're actually maybe a little bit greedy. I think I'd go for Ringleader here and just cast it.
Oh, that is greedy.
Mainly because I wasn't like these lands are all colorless. They're not doing too much. They only have one green source at the moment. It's not like I'm keeping them from casting multiple spells.
You're keeping them off Valakut Exploration by porting.
Yeah, okay. That's a great point.
Also, also that's a really sad Ringleader, but also just it keeps them off the Dark Depths combo for a turn. Like
yeah, that's very true as well.
They just have natural depths.
Yep. Yeah, which, looking at their play so far, like could definitely be a reason why they kept this hand.
Right. Like, 2 P fires and a depths combo.
Yeah. I think the better play there was probably just hold that double port, end step matron, and then put these up to 4 and 3.
Yep. Yeah.
And then we have.
I think it's actually arguable that you're supposed to just matron for matron.
Yeah. Okay.
Because you might just matron for matron like 3 times, and then get slinging at the end.
Okay, that's pretty cool. So they do actually hit the Valakut Exploration, which isn't too bad because there's no exploration in play. They can't kind of go off with it.
Right.
But they tapped in a port here, which is pretty bad for us. The double port's really nice because I can hit both the stage and also something else.
Yeah.
Like the extra
Taiga
green source. Yeah. I keep these up.
Ooh.
I think about the lackey here.
Yeah, it's lackey or Crater Maker your Mox Diamond.
Exactly, yeah. So I believe we attack and then use Vial to put in Crater Maker and trade with the Mox just because it is a green source. And then we can port the other green source.
Yeah, I like this. This just makes their life a lot harder. Okay.
Yeah, and seeing that they're struggling, that they want to copy it, which is more than fine because it takes them off an extra 2 lands, which is pretty fantastic.
Yeah, you kind of get a time walk here. Yeah, now they can't cast that crop rotation, which would have like drawn like 3 cards because they crop rotate for a fetch.
Yeah, really nice. Again, just keeping at 4 and 3.
They're at 3 and 2.
3 and 2, sorry, yeah.
I think you're supposed to go 4 and 3 there because you do want to be able to matron for Sling Gang.
Yeah. Okay.
But it's actually fine here because then you can matron for matron and then matron for matron again and then matron for Sling Gang.
Nice. I think the matron for matron lines I definitely have to be more aware of, just to like buy some time and do something.
Yeah, it's just like 1/1 with buyback, which is if the win condition is Sling Gang, then that's so if you matron for matron and then that matron hits them for 1 twice, that's 1 card generating. If you think of the one card is the matron, the first matron, it's like that 1 matron made 3 other matrons and then 3 1/1s with Sling Gang plus all the drain. So that's like the 1 matron generated like 9 damage or whatever.
Yeah. Okay. That's actually really cool. So kind of like a mini combo.
Yeah. All right. So
here we put the stage because it buys us a turn against the combo if they do have Dark Depths naturally.
Yep. Okay.
And here's Force of Vigor.
Okay.
So this is probably another reason in a way to have Vials at 4 and 3 in case I wanted to do like put in matron and then untap and put the Vial on 3 to 4, or if they hit the one on 4, then just keep that.
Yep.
So activate. I believe
are they dead if you get Pile Driver? 2, 4, 6, 8, 9, 10, 11. Yeah.
I think they are. Yeah, that's why I got the pile driver.
Yeah,
Yes, I'm a
and
Goblins player.
they'd have to have natural tabernacle.
Yeah, because thankfully, like Maze doesn't really matter because we have the port. We have double port.
You have
so
double port.
Wasteland doesn't matter.
Yep.
I don't think my opponent had any outs here other than tab.
It had to be natural tabernacle
Nice.
plus Wasteland you, and then you just like pay for 3 things and then put them on a 2-turn clock still.
Yep.
Nice.
Pretty sweet. Yeah. So nice little steal. Nice. All right. We go to game 3.
Nice.
Yeah, nice to grind it out against lands.
Mm-hmm. Can you show the sideboarding for this one again?
Yes. So 3 ringleaders.
Yep.
Pile driver. 2 munitions expert. I kept 1 in because of the
Reclaimer.
Yeah. And then
Tough
Fire out.
Yeah. I wish there's a cut other than pile driver. I'm trying to think if there's something better to cut. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe I'd shave a Crater Maker or Pile Driver just because you do want that burst damage. Like, they have Maze and stuff, but if they have to maze your lackey, then the Pile Driver hits them, or vice versa. And, like, it's really important to have threat density.
Yeah, definitely. It's a little bit like having, like, Batterskull and then a creature with Jide.
Right, yeah, very similar. Yep.
It's like they always have to go for the one with the Jide and just let the Batterskull get in, because it's, like, just natural, like, it's vanilla damage in a way.
Right, yeah. Well, that damage really does matter.
Yeah. There's no sprinkles on top. Jide sprinkles taste really good, by the way.
What?
Like
Jide?
The counters. Jite? Jit?
Jite? Yep.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I guess in Australia it's called Umezawa's Jite.
Yeah, that's what it's called. That's
okay. Cool.
I just don't get the sprinkles. What are the sprinkles?
Oh, like the counters going on top of it?
Uh-oh.
So you have like vanilla damage, which is just like a 4/4 with lifelink, which is cool. But then you get like a bit of sprinkles with the Jide. Yeah.
I'm not awake.
It's 12:44 a.m. here. So.
Oh, yeah. Fair enough. All right. Yeah. All right. What do you do with this hand?
Okay. So I don't mind it. It's a little bit awkward with the mana, but it does have a turn 1 Vial, interaction with Wasteland, and a pretty low curve.
Well, it's like, it's like a lot of the cards we want. Like Pashlik's really good because the combo with Sling Gang that you'll eventually find. Irg Squad, kind of unlikely to be proud this game, but it could happen. And like it's hard to throw back Vial plus Wasteland. You have Crater Maker for a Mox Diamond down the line. So like it's a little awkward that you don't have Graveyard Hate for like a loan.
Yeah, that's the thing as well, because there's only 2 ley lines, I don't really want to mulligan aggressively
for it.
Right,
absolutely, yeah. Is there I forget in that list if there's a third piece of Graveyard Hate or not. Is there a Relic or a Surgical in there? I don't think there is. I think that like that list is just like very low on Graveyard Hate for like I just wasn't seeing Graveyard decks. But I think this is a reasonable keep. It's just like spooky.
A little bit, yeah. So yeah, a pretty nice start from them. Let's be honest. So I lead with the Cavern because I feel like the Wasteland is just a bit more of a. I feel like if they Wasteland a tap Wasteland from my side, I'm losing out on some amount of value.
Yep. Yeah.
So
and if you have the Vial, theoretically you don't need the Cavern. And if they have Force of Vigor, all right, that sucks. But they would lose their Exploration. So.
Yeah, that's very true. I didn't pick up on that, but I did find it interesting they didn't Blast Zone straight away. I guess they can wait as well.
Yeah, I think they
actually go for. Oh. They go for Port here.
Okay, that makes sense actually. Like why Wasteland when you can Port?
Yeah, especially to hold up their Exploration. Like I can see why they want to trade that, but here I'm happy just to like take that off the table and trade the Blast Zone and the Wasteland.
Yeah, your Vial's really important here.
Yeah.
They have Crop.
Especially if I didn't draw an extra land. I believe they do have Crop. But it's not for another Blast Zone, which is nice.
Yeah. I mean, they show that they were not willing to pop the Blast Zone. I guess there's just no reason for them to pop the Blast Zone yet, because then they would lose Exploration, and it's not like you could put in a 1-drop that wouldn't die,
Yeah. So interesting that they have an exploration in play. They have one card in hand, but currently they're just making land drops and passing. So thankfully,
Yeah.
there's no real engine to worry about.
And they've got Grove, so I guess the last card's P-Fire. That's like the only thing that would make sense to me.
Yeah. Nice. So Vala goes to 2. I believe we just play Arid Mesa.
Fetches are good here.
Yeah, really nice because they play around Port really well, and they can get basics to play around Wasteland.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's scary.
So there's one piece of the combo.
That's scary.
A little bit.
But we can read that they don't have another crop rotation, so.
Yeah, I believe I put in the Crater Bank here just because at worst case, if they have Punishing Fire, we do have.
Oh, you put in the War Marshal. I actually think that's fine. I think probably what's the land next to Grove is Verdant Catacombs. I think the best play here is actually you fetch first. Because if you put in the Crater Maker and then they like port your fetch and then P-Fire you, then you're really sad.
Very true, yeah. That's a good point. I believe I just keep this at 2 because of the density of 2 drops at the moment.
Yep, that's fair.
Go for a basic.
Yeah,
pay for the
you're going to get wasted ported anyway, so like might as well.
Yeah.
Weirding's actually not bad.
Nice.
Yeah.
This definitely brought up the situation of just thinking like, do I go for a Badlands here, or do I try to just hold this as much as possible?
Yeah, I think you want to
like when the time comes.
Yeah, I think you want to sit on that fetch as long as you can.
Yep.
All right, there's P-Fire.
Yeah. Which they get to return. Which I know is going to do some amount of damage. Yeah, especially seeing they have multiple red sources and multiple groves now.
Yeah, so this is just going to be like the longest grind, basically.
Yeah. So land pass, put in Crater Maker. That was an awkward spot because I don't want to fetch, but at the same time, I don't want to get ported and then hit.
Right. Yeah, they didn't see it, fortunately.
Yeah, so here I go to 3. Yep. Because I'm happy to lose these to Punishing Fire, and I can Pashlik in response.
Yeah, you also really want to draw Matron. Ooh, that's nice. Yeah,
this is a tough point because Caracas is obviously one of my best ways to deal with the 2020. I do also have the Warren Weirding, but I didn't want to play this
into the
face of Wasteland.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's kind of awkward because like if they're Punishing Fire me, I kind of want to have it in play in case I like put in Mons and then want to save it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a lot of people don't realize the Pashlik's legendary, so they actually don't notice that you can Caracas to protect it.
Yeah, which is nuts value.
Yeah. Oh my god, so good.
Triggers in the stack, like
yeah.
Ugh. Yeah, so they're Punishing Fire this. Okay. So in response, we put in Pashlik Mons.
Okay.
And then
pop the Mox Diamond.
Yep.
Okay.
And yeah, I believe with it still in the stack, they might bring back another Punishing Fire, or they have a second one. No. They might just get it back. Yeah, they get it back now and just deal with the Pashlik Mons.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, you got 2 damage and like a little bit of value out of it. It's fine.
Yeah, I don't play this yet either.
Mm-hmm.
I just hold it.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'd love for them to hit the cavern. I think that's the best case.
Yeah. Yeah, you want them to wasteland that cavern for sure. Maze is slightly annoying.
Maze is one of the most annoying cards as a creature fan.
Right, yeah.
And obviously with one creature in play, it didn't do that well. But
that's a good one.
Matron was pretty nice. And I think here we attack. That is Punishing Fire it. We fetch. And I do get just a basic. Because I feel like I have 2 answers to the 2020 if it does come to that.
You can't cast the Warren Weirding now.
Yes, that's very true, yeah.
I think you are supposed to get the Badlands there because... And then you like play the Caracas because they're going to want to wasteland the Caracas.
Yeah.
And then your Badlands is more likely to stick. CP Max, thanks for the 12 months. Jeez. Whole year.
Nice.
Much appreciated.
So I think this is the situation that I was talking about before where I went for Sling Gang a little bit too early. I think maybe just going for something like a 2/2 with haste is better?
I don't know. I'm kind of honestly, Nature for Muxus is not off the table for me here because you're gonna tick up this vial to 5 for squad most likely anyway. So like going from 5 to 6 is actually reasonable because once it's on 5, it might as well go to 6 because there's no other 5s.
Yeah. Okay. I like that a lot. Yeah, because this was a situation as well where I was like, I thought it's like if I put in Earwig off the Aether Vial, do I then have to pay 3?
Yeah,
I didn't really read it until I saw it.
Yeah, it only works.
It's a sweet card.
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
it's a really good card.
Why activating there? I think.
Yeah, I just didn't see it to like get value.
Well, they're not even casting the P Fire yet. It's just in their yard.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, this is where I thought it was a hit, and it was.
And you didn't drain them for one either.
I should have.
Yeah, you just missed 1 damage.
Yeah. Sorry.
I mean,
sorry, chat.
Not a huge deal.
All right, so they literally do nothing. So I'm feeling pretty good.
Yeah.
And we have multiple creatures in play to deal combat damage.
Oh, draw the Muxus anyway.
Yeah.
Easy. Right. Never punished.
Exactly. So we get in with 4 creatures. Punishing Fire 1.
Okay.
They get back Punishing Fire. They're Punishing Fire the other.
Yeah, they're just like spending. They're spending so much mana just like dealing with our dinky 1/1s. It's like kind of whatever.
Exactly. So here, I actually just
Did you prowl the squad? Yeah, nice.
But this was an interesting situation. So we get to take 3 cards, and this is where I really went to the tank because
it's hard.
Looking at that deck, there's a lot of cards, and there's so many virtual copies of cards. So this situation, I was like, okay, the Dark Depths combo isn't that bad.
Yeah, you're at 25 and you have Karakas in your hand, so like it can't actually kill you. Yeah.
Tabernacle is probably the most annoying.
They boarded in Surgical Extraction? What the hell? No, that's silly.
So I kind of felt like if I can take 3 cards, I kind of want to take them off something. Obviously, Field is also pretty relevant. But I finished up on just the 3 Loams because I felt like the Loams with Exploration and Dark Depths and Blast-Zone in the bin could be a little bit annoying.
Yeah, Loam is definitely scary here. I think I would take. Yeah.
My only other thought was Field Tabernacle.
I don't think we really care about Field that much because they have 4 lands, so it'd be 5, so they need 2 more. So like Field is at least 2 turns away. And there's a decent chance that Muxus will generate enough aboard that you can kill them through the field. I'm scared of Tabernacle here.
Yep.
So I'm leaning towards take Tab and then maybe 2 Loams. I could also see an argument to take Glacial Chasm because they have Exploration Stage. But I guess Chasm only matters if they draw Loam. So, yeah, I think I would take Tab, Loam.
Yeah, okay. I like that a lot. I went with 3 Loams.
I think it's very close because they're they have virtually 4 copies of Tabernacle with 3 competitions left and the 1 Tab. So you're giving them a 4-outer basically, but you could potentially beat a Tabernacle here if you Muxus into a Prospector or something. But I guess they have 2 Punching Fires, so it'd be hard.
Yeah, the Punching Fires are really good.
Yeah,
and
it is a good point.
Muxus isn't the worst either.
Crocus is kind of whatever.
All right, so we keep Violet 5.
They're really not wastelanding you, but I guess they need all their mana.
Yeah, which is pretty interesting. So we play Muxus pre-combat because of the Haze creature in
War Chief.
Thank you. But we hit Matron, which
Okay.
is nice. But then I think, okay, there's probably no point getting War Chief here because they have Punishing Fire. They count as Punishing Fire before combat.
Correct.
So we go for Sling Gang.
Mm-hmm.
And then I believe I use Skirk Prospector to sack the Matron to cast Sling Gang because I don't want to play the Caracas yet. And it can't attack this turn anyway.
Okay.
And I do this main phase. I'm not sure if I should attack first.
I think if you pass priority, they probably P-Fire Prospector immediately, so...
Okay.
You probably have to. You might be supposed to get the second Muxus here, actually. Instead of Matron, or instead of Sling Gang.
Okay. The only thought was that I assume my opponent was going to Caracas the Muxus, which kind of gives me...
Well, if they Caracas Muxus, they lose. Like, you're not allowed to make that play with a Violence 6.
Yeah. Okay.
Like, they're gonna either, like, double P-Fire it or just try to maze it forever.
And I think here I really just kind of fizzled. I didn't really know what to do with the Sling Gang, so I think I might have sacked one creature. No, I sacked nothing.
Oh, you sack it for red. Okay.
Yeah.
And that's not bad. Then you just play the Lackey.
Yeah.
Also, yeah, you just Caracas your own Muxus. I think that's actually probably the play, is play Caracas, just Caracas Muxus right now.
Oh, nice. Okay, so they can't double Punishing Fire it.
Yeah.
That makes sense. So they do.
Okay, well, they're suicidal. Like, that's just not a thing you're allowed to do.
Yeah, so they get Field.
Okay.
Online, and then they drop Bog per turn.
Okay, so 3 zombies. And a Punching Fire. It feels very likely that they die this turn. Oh, Trash Master. Oh, they're so dead. They're so dead.
Muxus hits a bunch of stuff.
Oh, just
yeah, we use some of the summoning sick creatures to cast Trash Master.
Yeah.
And then I believe I also... maybe I don't. I was thinking if I needed to like sack 3 of the creatures with summoning sickness to cast Crater Maker to then deal with a zombie to get lethal through this turn. But I feel like it's just enough anyway.
Yeah. I think you are supposed to play... Nah, it doesn't matter, actually.
I think they go to 3, but they keep returning the Muxus, so I'm like, this is more than fine. Yeah, they go to 3.
And then... Yeah. Yeah, I don't...
Hey, Ramar.
Bouncing our Muxus for us was a little questionable, but we'll take it.
Yeah. But yeah, I think you brought up some good points. I think there I should definitely go for more sort of grindy cards.
Yeah, I think that the fact that you getting the Muxus or getting the second Sling Gang too early is pretty dangerous because you really want your Muxus to be able to hit Sling Gang.
Yeah, very true.
So the first Sling Gang was fine, but I think the second the Matron that you got off of Muxus should have gotten either second Muxus.
Yep.
Or no, I think it just had to be second Muxus because once you have no Pashlix, no Sling Gangs, your burst damage significantly decreases.
Yeah.
Yeah, they had a 4-outer there basically. They had to draw Tabernacle or Corporation.
Yeah, so the keep must have been half the hand must have been like a nice exploration start with the Mox Diamond Port Wasteland, and then the other half must have been like Grove and Punishing Fire, because they didn't really have a way to put like you can exploration all you want, but you're gonna run out of lands without something like Loam or Valakut Exploration. So there were so many turns where they either played a land and passed or just untapped and passed.
Yeah, they had a lot of turns where they just like they weren't pushing their own game plan at all. They were just like, okay, P-Fire your thing, P-Fire your thing, maze your thing, maze your thing. But it's just like that doesn't actually win them the game. And if you have your more explosive elements, you can go over the top of that.
Yes. But yeah, really cool. I feel like lands can be a pretty rough matchup for goblins as like a creature-based deck. Like Punishing Fire is really nice. The Tabernacle and Maze are really annoying.
I think
2020 in the air can just be a one swing.
I think the scariest part of lands is by far the Merit Lage. Just like everything else, like the scariest cards are like Exploration, Valakut Exploration, and then Depths. Like Tabernacle's really annoying, but like we have a lot of ways to play through it via out of combat damage with like Slangang and Pashlik, and then with Vile you can do stuff like let your stuff die and then go like Violent War Chief, play a new round of things, hit you for 7 or whatever. So like there's a lot of ways to get around it. Lands, I used to feel like pretty favored versus lands, and then Valakut Exploration pushed it back to like a coin flip or worse. So like I would feel pretty 50-50 against like your opponent's build of lands, but then like the newer builds of lands playing like that cut Valakut Exploration for the Urza sagas and are being more like land central, lands based, you know, as a strategy. I feel better against those because we can interact with constructs pretty well. Like Trashmaster was already good in the matchup because it made all your important stuff survive Punishing Fire, and now it's just like even better because it'll just like blow up constructs and, you know, their pithy needles that they got or whatever. Trashmaster is now just like insane.
Yeah, I love that it sees play.
Yeah, this card's he's so good.
All right, we're 3-1.
3-1.
Ready for the last one?
Yeah, let's go.
All right. Don't look. All right. On the play, which is nice. No, we lost the die roll.
Lost the die roll. FGC, this is a Miracles player, right? This is one of the London guys.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So we have turn 1 Lackey into hopefully Muxus.
Yeah, so and if the Lackey gets yeah, it's like if the Lackey gets dealt with, it's a bummer, but like the rest of the hand is functional at least, so it's like not that bad.
Yeah, exactly. And the Matron's a nice way to recoup some card advantage to like Ringleader or something. And seeing the Tundra, I was pretty happy.
Yeah.
Especially with a Wasteland hand, I was pretty happy to Wasteland straight away. The Ponder did keep, but
yeah, I
think like if I could get him to fetch like a basic island, I'd be much more happy to play a Lackey into that.
Yep.
If they want to like cantrip again.
Yeah. In any like Tundra deck leading on Tundra, you're just like, well, that means you don't have many lands, because why would you do that if you had the option?
Yeah, exactly. So they go for another Jewel, which is pretty great for us with the second Wasteland, but they do have Swords to Plowshares for the first Lackey.
I wonder if you're supposed to get a duel there.
Yeah, I was just thinking that as well, because Munitions Expert, like if we draw into a mountain, then it's pretty tough.
Yeah, there are very few Force of Will, there are very few Tundra Wasteland decks, so.
Yes, that's very true.
Okay.
So we go for Stoneforge, get Jit, which this was actually an interesting turn because I wasn't too sure how to get around it, and I was definitely thinking about Batterskull in hand, like maybe they have Batterskull and that's why they got Jide. But just because Jide's pretty aggressive, and I feel like they probably want to play more the control than the beatdown.
I mean, Batterskull just like, doesn't really matter against goblins most of the time, so like, I don't know, I think you're supposed to get Jite like most of the time anyway.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think I would have been tempted to go Wasteland, Tundra, play Lackey, and just like try to spike a land.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. So my reasoning for the Mog War Marshal was to set up a Skirk Prospector line where I could like block and equip Jide and then sack the creature.
Yep. Yeah, it's totally reasonable. It's just like true name. Oh, what the hell?
Retrofit a Foundry, yeah. So this makes me think it's gonna be like an Urza Saga deck as well.
Yeah.
Which is pretty rough. So now I let this slide because it doesn't really matter. We don't draw land, but I do play Skirk here.
Yeah.
And then I wasn't gonna cast anything else, but I actually ended up sacking one of the goblins for lackey this turn, so that the following turn I could maybe set up munitions expert into attack.
Yeah, no, that's reasonable. Yeah,
the lackey. But this is a tough spot because I wasn't too sure what the role of the wasteland here was.
Right.
And maybe it was to go after their land, but it was like, do I actually need this wasteland as part of my?
Yeah, you kind of do. I will say there's playing the prospector last turn would have left you in a better spot. If you go prospector and then play the war marshal and then sack the front half, cast the lackey, you'd have 1/1/1 in play.
Yeah, nice. That's very true. Dude, have you played this deck? What is this? So here I'm a little bit scared because they actually make a servo instead of putting in the Jide, which is fair. They probably see that they can't really get through with the Jit on the ground.
Right.
Which is tough because this servo can become a flying creature next turn. They do nothing, which makes sense. No land drop either, which is a
draw cavern. No. All right.
We draw a land, which is nice.
But if this was if you had a Badlands in play, it would be better. You have a duel with the first one.
Yeah, that's very true. So they actually force the Pashalik, which is pretty tough because Pashalik was kind of my way to deal with the Stoneforge.
Right.
Or hopefully the 1/1.
Right. Though it's like not that bad that they did that because they had a Caracas on board, so like Pashlik wasn't gonna stick.
Yeah, that's very true. So here we see the servo turn into a flying creature, and the Jide comes in.
Yeah.
And this is where it kind of goes.
Yeah, now you're just like doomed unless you draw a Creator Maker.
Yeah, it was really tough. I mean, we drew Muxus.
Oh, yeah, you just draw a 6-drop, sure, yeah.
Yeah.
Is this Esper Stoneblade? What the hell?
Get the Creator Maker. They make another dude. Foundry is so good for these grindy matchups. Really tough. Oops, sorry.
I mean,
and so they play Wasteland as well. Yeah, so they went attack to fairy, bounce the token, play Wasteland, and then their last two cards was force blue card. So I couldn't.
Whatever.
I tried.
Whatever.
Yeah, but the Wasteland really threw me because I feel like they nearly could have played that game without showing these two, without showing black and without showing the Wasteland, which is pretty huge.
Yeah.
But I think if I only saw blue-white in games 2 and 3, I'd probably still play around like back to basics. So I think like it still keeps me off the thought of just going hard on jewels.
Right.
But yeah, still really interesting. Like they had a mana left over. I think they probably could have saved this information and still got the same effect.
Right. Yeah, playing the Wasteland seems unnecessary.
Yeah. All right. Game 2. This was enjoyable.
All right, let's look at the sideboarding here first.
Yeah. 2 lackeys. 1 pile. 2 war chief, 1 Muxus.
And the Warren.
And the Warren. Yep.
I think you want War Chief against the Stoneforge decks because like even though the tempo thing like it matters like it does against Delver, they don't have days presumably, so like it's like you can actually like play War Chief and reasonably like resolve it. And if you untap with it, you know, that's another thing, but I think you want to try to play for that upside. And then it's a really good way to if you have a War Chief in play, then Matron for Creator Maker and activate it becomes a 4-mana line instead of a 6-mana line. And that can become really, really important. And I think I would leave in Warren Weirding because you can presume that they're playing True Name Nemesis.
Yeah, it's fair. I think the Foundry really ticked me off.
Oh, yeah. Okay, no, that's fair. That's fair.
And you don't have Stoneblade in your sideboard guide, so I went off Jeskai's Saga.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I haven't seen Stoneblade in a while.
Yeah, so makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. Okay, I mean, this is fine. That sounds reasonable.
So this had Yeah, I thought it was pretty good. It can go for all the basics, which is nice. Magus can just be like a kind of.
I mean, it might just die if it resolves. Yeah.
Yeah, which is really nice, and then it has a pretty nice curve otherwise. So Trashmaster also just being an answer for any of their artifacts is quite good.
Yep. Yeah, his hand seems good. You mulliganed.
But I mulliganed it. I mulliganed it. Why did I mulligan it? I feel like I definitely should have kept that.
Yeah.
we just talked about it. So this is a tough one because there's no colored mana. It really relies on the vial.
Right, and then you get I keep it. I feel like this is. Let me guess what happens. You keep it, and then you get prismatic ending to never draw a red source.
What? All right. So we bottom the gem palm.
Yeah, that's fair.
And just go for port into vial.
I don't think we saw a single basic. Oh, they have force. Okay, same deal. I don't think that they have back to basics in their deck. I don't think we saw a single basic land in game one. Oh, you draw a red source. All right.
We draw the mountain, which is nice. We have an answer for Stoneforge Mystic, which is good.
Yep.
We have some amount of disruption of Magus and some amount of play in Mog, which is cool.
Yeah, there's no way a 3-color deck playing Wasteland is also playing back to basics. It's just like not a thing.
And also, I think Caracas should have also given it away for me. I think I should have paid attention to that.
Yeah.
So Stoneforge for Jit. I don't play the Echo because I want a Tarfire here.
Oh man, not drawing a land there is kind of frustrating.
Yeah, so this was the point where I was like, I can take them off white, but the Wasteland for me is just, I feel like I need that. And I feel like with the island, they can cantrip so much faster into mana than I can naturally just draw it.
Yeah, definitely.
So sadly, I just pass with Wasteland up, which always feels awkward, but...
Yeah. It always feels bad, but I think it's definitely correct here.
The one nice thing here is that they can't fetch for basic planes off this in response to the Magus.
I mean, I don't even think I play the Magus here. I think it just because I don't think that they can beat it unless they have Hydroblast. If you manage to play it when they're tapped low, so I think I would just wait for them to play something and then play the Magus.
Try to get them on the
make them have Force of Will again, and then they probably board it out like maybe a Force.
Nice. So I did that thinking that I could also get value off Expert in their turn.
Yeah. You have to play Planeswalker or something.
Yeah, well, unfortunately during the league I didn't realize I could hit Planeswalker. Right. Brainstorm's fine. This is a little bit tough because then I'm like,
they've engineered, like don't they?
Yeah. And it's tough because like Expert can't kill it.
Yeah. So like the fact that we didn't have a black source to expert the Stoneforge when we did meant we had to use the Tarfire. Grademaker's a good draw.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think here I just go for the Magus to take them off white because they have to go for a duel here, which they do, but they have.
Oh, they don't. Okay.
Something blast.
Okay. Well, that was always going to happen.
Which I assume was off the top of their deck because they fetched for a Tundra and then let it resolve. They didn't float blue.
Right. Yeah. So they just top deck Hydroblast. Okay. Sure. So you had them like completely locked, and then they drew like their one of Hydroblast.
So here at least we get the Crater Maker, but it's tough because we know they have the Jide as well.
Right.
So it's a case of do we want to trade the Crater Maker for the Plague Engineer or the Jide? We have the Trash Master for the Jide, so...
Yeah, you can wait for a turn.
Yeah, so thankfully they just attack with the Plague, and I think here we're at 17. I'm happy to take this and just take some more time to think about what I actually want to trade the Crater Maker for. The big thing is, do we draw a land? Because then we can cast Trash Master but also hold up Crater Maker.
Right.
And we don't.
Oh, and
this is awkward as well.
Giga punished. Like, yeah, you would love to just play
Reanimator. Yeah, exactly. But
yeah, now you're kind of like time walks.
Exactly. Yeah.
Probably supposed to pop Crater Maker end of turn.
Yep.
Just kill the engineer, and then accept that you're going to get hit by an equipment one time, but like that's not the end of the world.
Yep. Yeah.
I mean, this isn't that bad still. Like you just
block,
kill the engineer.
Exactly. So one little thing I didn't do here is block first, which is just like naturally you should just do that, block and then
right.
sack.
I mean, if they have a stifle, congratulations.
Exactly. Yeah. I take them off black here just in case it's a thing, but I go to second main after they float and then cast, I believe, Trashmaster.
Yeah. I don't love that Wasteland. I think your mana matters a lot.
Okay.
I'm not sure, like, I guess you're playing around Fatal Push this way, because they don't have Revolt.
That was the only thing that I was thinking about, yeah.
Okay.
But probably, like, it does mean that we can't, like, draw land into, like, Ringleader into Pile Driver.
Right. Or, like, Ringleader plus Expert the Stoneforge.
Yeah, that's very true. So I believe they go to Swords, the Trashmaster. So in response, we just trade it for the Jade.
Okay, so you got a 2-for-1.
Which isn't too bad.
Yeah. So,
Mine Saga.
That's another reason not to Wasteland, is we guessed that they were a Saga deck earlier. Oh, they have Natural Sword.
And then they have Sword. Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe they actually got it off the second Stoneforge, I think. Because the first one got Jade.
Oh, right, yeah.
I believe. Yeah, which is really tough. Because now it's like, okay, we've got to like find another Crater Maker. And we do. Which is nice. We have a plan.
But you're taking a ton of damage.
Yeah, exactly. So might as well attack in.
Yeah, I think it's just like that turn where you just like you had nothing. You just had to pass and like awkwardly do nothing for a turn because of the Crater Maker like holding up the activation.
Yeah. Yep. That's very true. So at least here we get to play the Crater Maker off the Cavern to make sure the sword gets hit.
Yep.
Oh.
Let's tap it again. Oh, you're probably changing how you're tapping.
There we go.
Uh-oh. Is that what happened, or is it bugging out?
I think it's bugging out.
Okay, yeah, the replay system sometimes, like, just, like, if you click on something and then, like, change your mind and do something else, it, like, doesn't recognize that happened sometimes. So what actually happened here?
So I believe what we did was cast Crater Maker off the Cavern with these two lands, Cavern and Mountain. Use a Mountain to trade the Crater Maker for the sword.
Yep.
And then just pass. And I probably should have kept the Munitions Experts for the Urza's tokens, but I actually traded one or used one on the Stoneforge Mystic, which to be fair, once the Jide and the Sword have gone, I don't think it's really that big of an issue anymore.
Yeah, I think I mean, also, I think you're supposed to just, like, not activate the Crater Maker immediately because you want to be able to, like, block a construct and then sacrifice Crater Maker, destroy the sword. So it's like a fog.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Okay. That makes a lot of sense.
So I think you actually get to just play your Pile Driver on that turn because you're going to get to block both attackers effectively. You see what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. So end step, they make a dude. They flash in Containment Priest, and then they untap, make a dude, and then they get Retrofit a Foundry. So they have a 3/3 that they can attack with. So they attack with the 3/3 and the Containment Priest. And obviously, I make the incorrect decision to block the 3/3 with my 2 creatures.
Oh, and you get blown out.
And for 4 damage, that is activate Retrofit a Foundry, make it a 4/4. We take 2 damage, go to 2. They have 2 4/4s.
Yeah, you're just dead. Yeah.
Yeah. Which is pretty tough.
So there's a couple things that could have been done differently here, right? There was, I mean, just from the outset, the mulligan, right?
Yeah, I mean, we both agreed on the
the 7 was totally reasonable.
Yeah.
I mean, the Magus would have gotten hydroblasted no matter what, right? That was inevitable.
Yep.
But I mean, there's an argument that just like, once we register that they're an Urza Saga deck, you should just never play Magus until there's an Urza Saga in play. And either they're fully tapped out or there's a Saga in play, and there's no reason to ever play Magus otherwise.
Yeah, I guess my only thought was if they go like Jewel, and then tap out for like maybe Teferi bounce something.
Yeah. Like, if they don't have the mana open, then it's fine. But otherwise, I think you want to make sure you get that 2-for-1 or you get the lockout. Like, If it's only if it's not like a guarantee, it's not worth the risk.
Yeah.
But as far as, so if we assume that you mulligan, that's just what happens. I think the wasteland you did in that last turn ends up costing you this game, right? Because you would have been able to wasteland the Urza Saga. You would have been able to like keep up on tempo, and there's a decent chance you can actually grind out this game if they don't get 2 constructs. Like a Retrofitter Foundry is annoying, but like with double expert and a cavern, like you can probably be swinging with pile driver plus ringleader, and then like they have to either be chumping with tokens or they'll die, and then you're just putting them in the abyss, and then they have to keep spending mana every turn activating Retrofitter Foundry until they find a removal spell for pile driver, and then you still have 2 removal spells in your hand. Like, I think you're probably favored from that spot.
Yeah, definitely. I think I just rushed like understanding the matchup, because I saw Retrofitter Foundry in game 1, which should make me think that it is an Urza Saga deck.
Yeah, because there's no other, like, you're not playing ninjas, so there's like no way that you're playing that card just cuz.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that should just allow me to go, okay, then the role of Wasteland is either to maybe find them in a situation where I can just take them off mana or save it for Saga.
Yeah, like playing around the Fatal Push wasn't that worth it, because it's like,
no,
they're probably only playing like 1 push to supplement 4 plows, if I had to guess. Also, like, I know this is like very unlikely, but you see like random numbers of dazes in Stoneblade sometimes, where it's just like, oh, I'm gonna have 2 dazes, and then you just like if your Trash Master gotten dazed, that just been like the worst thing in the world. And I feel like that's about as like worth playing around as a Fatal Push, if you see what I mean.
Yeah, I think if anything, Fatal Push is just like a bit of a stretch to play around.
Yeah,
I think that's me just being like, oh yeah, I can play around Fatal Push, but it's like,
for 1 turn,
Wasteland
maybe
is so much more of a resource than that. Like,
yeah, it's both better as a land and as a card that trades with Urza Saga.
Yeah, but yeah, overall, League was extremely fun. I mean, that's the best part of Magic, is that this deck was really fun to play.
Yeah, you had a lot of good games. It was
little things. Yeah, good mix. I mean, we had Oops All Spells, lands,
Delver,
Blue-Red Delver, Esper Stoneblade, Esper Saga Blade, I'm going to call it.
Yeah.
And one more.
So
what was it, chat?
Delver, Oops, Stoneblade, lands.
What? Went down to Oops, went down to
Stoneblade.
These? Was it this?
Yeah. Oh, Grixis Control.
Grixis Control. Yeah, so like some blast from the past.
Yeah, no kidding.
But yeah, good like range of matches as well. Like combo in like fast combo, slow combo in like lands, control, mid range.
Delver. I only got the 1 game in versus Delver.
But yeah, I think good feedback from this league is just like think a little bit more about what cards are actually going to have an impact and like what the role of a card is.
Yeah, like specific cards are for specific other cards. I think that's like that is such an important thing. It's like in some situations, all cards are sort of interchangeable because it's just like resources generically. And I think a lot of blue decks are like that, where it's like everything pitches to Force of Will, everything is a card in your hand to be exchanged with another card when you brainstorm, right? Like everything can, like Xerox, right? Every card can be a copy of another card. Like that's how blue decks are built. But
yeah,
non-blue decks are so, it's like very silver bullet-y, very every card has a specific role.
Yeah,
and it changes contextually. Like against the Saga decks, your Wasteland, you got to save it for the Saga, or you have to have a really good reason to use that Wasteland as a mana denial tool.
Yeah, I remember when I first started realizing that I was just casting spells because I could cast spells, and how much different it is to actually save something. Like, sure, I can like Swords at turn 1 Delver, but like if I have like a Scrib Ranger or something, then I don't really need to. And I feel like with Wasteland, I get caught up in that. Even though I play Wasteland a heap in all the decks that I play,
Wasteland's
I
hard.
still get like these. I get these really like kind of like, oh, I can Wasteland, so I Wasteland. It's like, well, that mana was actually better for me. Like, even though it kind of feels awkward to pass with a Wasteland up against the deck playing Duels or something else, like sometimes you just need the mana.
Yeah. I think that came up a couple times this league where it was like wasting them was worse. And I think Goblins is like one of the trickiest decks to Wasteland with, because it's like Goblins is one of those decks where there's some games where you don't need any lands because you have like a Lackey and a Vial, and it's just like, I'm operating purely off of, putting things into play. I don't actually need mana to operate. But other games, it's like, oh, I want 8 lands in play.
Yep. Yeah.
So I can go, Matron for Ringleader and then cast something, all in one turn.
Yeah. 7 seems pretty nice.
Yeah, 7's like a big deal. And like 9 is even like a relevant thing, because then you can Matron for Muxus and cast it.
Yep.
Yeah, and like, and it certainly gets a lot easier if you have a Vial. But even like with Vial, it's like in post-board games against, say, Delver, I have lost because I aggressively Wastelanded with a Vial in play, and then they abraded my Vial, and I was like, well, if I didn't Wasteland them, I would be able to function. But since I Wastelanded them twice and they just like had some mana still, I'm super dead in the water because they killed my Vial. So like, you do have to consider like the fail rate of Wastelanding aggressively. Like, I think it's like, I think against fair decks, early Wastelands tend to be better because people haven't cantripped yet, and they haven't like solidified, they haven't smoothed out the, the rough around the edges hands that they have, But late game, a lot of the time the Wasteland matters more for you as a mana.
Yeah, definitely. Especially against these white decks now. Like, if you Wasteland a Tundra and they untap and just like Prismatic Ending your Vial, you're like, oh no.
Yeah. I mean, that's why
like, at least they had to wait for like Disenchant or something.
Mm-hmm. That's why I like Port so much.
Yeah. So disrupts and also spells out your mana in a way.
Yeah, Port is like this great way to reduce your opponent's options, but without reducing yours in an equal amount. Wasteland isn't always asymmetrical. The Delver decks get to Wasteland willy-nilly because it's like Wasteland doesn't cast any spells in their deck, basically, and then like it's literally just a spell. Like they don't use the mana mode of Wasteland except to cast like Nullrod or Brazen Borrower. Like they have like maybe 5 or 6 spells that can actually use colorless mana. So for them it's just like, oh, I have a Wasteland, I'm gonna use it, unless I'm playing as like lands, then it gets a little trickier. But for Goblins, you really have to evaluate, and that's like I honestly think that's one of the hardest parts of the deck, is how to balance your mana denial usage. Like some games you want to just like port forever, and then some games it's like, if I port, I've had so many games against Control that came down to whether or not I ported on turn 2 or I played a 2-drop.
Yeah, that's a huge one, especially in the fair decks that I play. Like, is it turn 2 Thalia or is it turn 2 Stoneforge? And so many times it's like in the blind, you're like up against like a fetch line, like a Misty. You're like, oh no.
It's like, it's total crapshoot.
Yeah. Because it's like, get Stoneforge, and they're like, okay, fetch one to go and see Ritual.
Yeah.
Oh no. Yeah. Or you play Thalia and they're like, untap, like play 2 elves. You're like, no.
Yeah. They ends up fetch Dryad Arbor, Guy's Cradle.
Yeah. I played against a black-red Goblins deck the other week, and it played Plague Engineer on the board, which I didn't actually expect, and it got me really good, because I think I had like Mother and Noble Hierarch out.
Oof. Yeah, Engineer and Goblins is like, some people do it. I don't really like it over, like, I feel like Goblins has access to a lot of X1 hate if it wants it. Like, there's already Chain Whirler, right? That does a similar thing. It's worse against Mom specifically. And it's, triple red is not nothing. But it is easier to cast than Engineer a lot of the time, because a non-goblin black spell is, you have to have Badlands, or you have to put Cavern on Carrier, which is awful.
This reminds me of StarCraft
2. Oh, yeah. Carrier has arrived.
Yeah.
So like, I think, and also like between like pyrokinesis, chain whirler, Pashnikmons, I've never found engineer like something I was particularly interested in, because like if you can play a goblin shaped version on color version of that effect, it's just going to be better than off color non-goblin version. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that makes sense. What are your thoughts right now on like Turbo Muxus versus Goblins versus like Food Chain?
I think Food Chain is just like a better version of Turbomuxus. Like I don't think there's any reason to play the old mono red Turbomuxus build over Food Chain.
Okay.
Like Chalice has like maybe never been worse since the printing of Prismatic ending, you know? Like it's just like Chalice is now, it's almost like the Oko era where like Chalice is like very bad against like Tundra decks, like blue control decks.
Yeah.
And so if Chalice is all that bad, like Turbomuxus like was like the reason to play Turbomuxus over Wild Goblins was like, well, you get to be faster and you get to play Chalice, but now Chalice sucks.
Yeah, that's very true.
Sorry about that.
No, good.
And so Food Chain gets to be as fast, if not faster, than Turbomuxus, and is a little more consistent because you can do stuff out of combat. It's like more broken. Like you can do like really silly things. Like the whole like Fury thing with Food Chain is ridiculous.
I've been there.
Yeah, I've seen you get hit by that. Yeah.
It's like Thalia, Birds of Paradise, Script Ranger, Mother of Runes, or like God. Noble Hierarch. And then it's like bang, 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 bang. It's like, and they get 5 mana from it.
Or
6 mana.
6 mana. Yeah, you just cast Muxus immediately.
Yeah. Fury into Muxus is the worst.
Yeah, so like the deck is like can do very broken things. The problem with Food Chain is that it really sucks at interacting against a lot of decks. So if your proactive game plan isn't good enough, gonna die. Like, I think Food Chain Goblins is the best Goblins variant versus Delver because you have such a density of accelerants and like ETB effects that like you really don't care about Lightning Bolt. You have enough accelerants that you don't care about Daze. You can plow through Force of Wills, and you have Caverns as well. Like, I was brutalizing Delver when I was playing Food Chain, but it's just like you really suck against a lot of other decks. Like it's like way worse against combo than regular Goblins is. Like, and like regular Goblins is not happy to play against combo, but like Food Chain Goblins like cannot beat combo. Like you can maybe beat Show and Tell because you have 4 Muxus. But like you don't have Wastelands or ports, so you can't slow anyone down. You can't really interact with people. Like even Cloud Post, like Mono Green Cloud Post is one of Goblins' best matchups because Lackey into Wasteland just like obliterates most of their draws. You know, and if they have Elvish Reclaimer, if you kill the Elvish Reclaimer with like like Lackey into Expert, you know, kill your Reclaimer, hit you with Lackey, like it's like game over. But I felt like I was struggling against Cloud Post with Food Chain because it's like, oh, they have Force of Vigor for your Food Chain, and you don't have any Wastelands in your deck, so they're going to get like Glacial Chasm. Then you have to kill them like from 20 or what, you know, if you haven't hit them very much with slinging. Like the thing with Food Chain is like it doesn't gradually apply damage over the course of the game. It's like very burst heavy. So it's hard to like whittle someone down. So that made like Chasm much more problematic. And then I had a game where I was like, oh, they have a Needle on my Sling Gang and a Chasm in play. I can't win, you know? I just lose. So I kind of had a falling out with Food Chain because it felt like the deck was really good against Delver, and then like the fair non-blue decks, like the fair like Maverick, like I was beating elves pretty well. Like I could outrace elves pretty consistently in terms of like building a ridiculous board state. Plus I had Fury, so like it was like almost like a mirror, but I have a Wrath of God that costs 0 mana.
Yeah, Fury is pretty sweet.
Yeah, but other than that, I felt much worse against the meta as a whole. So that's why I'm back on red black. Though my latest build that I'm gonna start experimenting with, I'm playing in Anu's 1K tomorrow. I'm playing in the showcase. I've got a list. I haven't played for like 5 days. I took a bit of a break. It was like kind of difficult because like I was like I want to test these ideas. I got all these ideas, but it's like no, take some time off. Stop grinding your face into leagues because you're just gonna get mad. Like I was just getting tilted by like anything. Like my opponent would do like anything. I was like, God damn it, I'll just get like irrationally angry over things. Where
are you saying Anu's tournament is tomorrow?
Yeah.
24 hours, and then how many hours on top of that?
It's at start. I think it starts at 1 p.m. my time.
Okay, on a Saturday.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. Okay.
What, you think you can play it?
I'm assuming it's like, yeah, it's like 11
PST
for you now.
Yeah, it's 11:40 here. AM.
Cool. Okay, so it's nice. Yeah, I'll be up.
Yeah. So yeah, I know his event is if you sub to his channel, it's free.
Yes. Cool.
Pretty damn good deal.
Got a good Goblins list as well.
So the latest innovation for me is like I have a tiny green splash for Mass Vandal. So I cut a Badlands and the swamp. I'm still in 24 lands, so it's 17 red sources, so more red sources than ever. So because I hate losing to my own mana. That is like the worst thing in Goblins. Is like drew too many colorless lands, or I drew like my one colored source and I got wasteland and I died. That's like the worst thing in all of Goblins. So I'm up to 17 red sources, and then I'm playing three ports, 4 wastelands, but then 7 fetches and a taiga along with 2 badlands. So I think 12 green sources for a 1 of Mass Vandal in the main. Because Mass Vandal exiles, meaning it exiles Kaldra. Yo, nice. Hey, Chris, thanks for the bits.
Nice. Hey, Chris.
We're just finishing up here, and Dukes has to go to bed. He's probably real tired.
Hey, I'm in no rush. I said Red Bull, so.
Oh, okay. So Mass Vandal.
The green splash.
Yeah. It's a goblin-shaped way to exile Kaldra, which is huge. So you don't always have to just like have the answer for the Stoneforge. You can like let them put in the Kaldra, hit you for 5, and then you just violin you cast your Mass Vandal, exile Kaldra. It's gone forever. And it also exiles Urza Saga because it's enchantment.
Yeah, that's sick.
So I'm really interested in testing that. And like it's bad. The problem is it's like it's textless against Delver, but it's good against like most other decks, I think.
And at least it's only a 1-of.
Yeah,
it's kind of like collective against elves or like
yeah.
against
I think it's a very good way to put it. It is like a situational 1-of, but I think there's enough situations in Legacy where it will be good because it hits Saga, hits Kaldra, and like plus any other equipment, and then situationally, there's stuff like it could hit on like an Omniscience. Like if they go show and tell, you put in Muxus, then your Muxus flips Mass Vandal, like game over. Like that's insane. So Omniscience is one. You can snipe Sylvan Libraries against Control, or like if they go like a hard cast Shark Typhoon, which they probably shouldn't. But also it's a way to kill back to basics, which is really awesome.
Yeah, that's a really big one.
Especially one that you can cavern out, because like before you would like almost always lose if they like they deal with your first 2 things, like resources get exchanged early on, and they go back to basics, force of will your Red Blast, and then you're just like stuck until you draw another Red Blast. But Mass Vandal, you can just go like cavern, you can sandbag at cavern, Mass Vandal, exile your back to basics, and then they like have to have a second one like immediately. So I think that's really good tech. I still got to test it for this exact build. I'm leaning more into Mog War Marshals. I think War Marshal's really good right now. I think the Plague Engineer numbers are at like a relative low because there are not that many fair black decks.
I've hardly seen it.
Do you agree with that then?
100%. I don't think I've seen, like, maybe in my past 30 matches, I might have seen it once or twice.
I mean, you faced 2 engineer decks in this league, but I think that's like pretty atypical.
Yeah.
Like, but Grixis Control is not really a deck. Esper Stoneblade, not really a deck. Like, those are very off meta. It's like of the top like 5 or 6, 7 decks, I don't think any of them are engineer decks.
Yeah, which is fantastic.
Right. Right. So I'm playing 3 War Marshals, and so you can kind of max out on X1s and not get really punished for it.
Yeah, which is really nice.
Yeah, because I think we saw in this league, right? It's like the chip damage from like the War Marshals really adds up over time, right?
Yeah, it was huge. It was kind of like nearly like a bolt every turn.
Yeah, it's like a slow Delver that is really hard to get rid of. So it's just like, and like that's the plan
against Delver. Have you seen that face?
Yeah. Face all the Goblin Matron could love.
Yeah. Speaking of X1s, how did you find testing Monkey in Goblins?
So yeah, Ragavan, I mean, I had a pretty insane run with it. I had 4 4-1s in a row and a 5-0.
Nice.
I was 21-4 in 5 leagues, which is kind of ridiculous. And then it started to fall off a bit, where it was like a lot of 3-2s and like an occasional 0-2 drop, and I was like kind of over it. I think Ragavan's still good. I think the online meta is like super prepped to beat it right now, though, because everyone's scared of the card. So it's just like 1 mana removal is at an all-time high. You know, you got people playing Fort Plow, 4 Prismatic Ending, and Lightning Bolt, you know, in their Jeskai decks or whatever. And so, and like people, and it also just like people are keeping hands that don't lose to Ragavan because it's common enough. So they're just like, they will pass the Ragavan test because they're expecting it. So it's kind of the wrong time to lean into that direction, I feel like.
Yeah, which I guess makes it pretty tough for this deck as well with Lackey starts.
Yeah, you're Lackey. Yeah, Turn 1 Lackey, definitely not getting there as much as it used to, because of Ragavan. And I think it in Goblins is definitely suffering some splash damage from Ragavan because people are playing Hydroblast. Like that card is always very narrow in Legacy. Hydroblast very rarely sees play, right? But the meta is warped around Ragavan and Dragon's Race Channeler and Expressive Iteration enough that a lot of blue decks have like 1, maybe even 2 Hydroblasts on the board, which is definitely making like Hydroblast isn't that insane against Goblins when you have Cavern, right? Because otherwise it's just like it's a 1 mana kill spell, which is like kind of it's good, but it's not like insane. But when you don't have Cavern, it's like 1 mana hard counter. That's way better.
Yeah, there's so much difference in value between the stack and the creature actually on the field.
Absolutely.
That like that space between is where all the value is, and that's where Cavern is just so good.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
What about Ignoble Tyrock?
I tried it in the vial shell, and it's just like with 4 lackeys, 4 vials, and you want to keep 1 skirk around for like patch like reasons and Muxus reasons. If you're trying to fit 3 to 4 hierarchs, you just end up with a lot of air. You end up with a lot of air, and you end up with like you kind of like to cut it. It's like to fit it, you have to cut like War Marshals, and that just means you're falling into all the 1-for-1 removal that everybody's playing. Like War Marshal is the card that makes 1-for-1 removal look stupid. You know, it's like, oh, you're gonna bolt my Mog War Marshal. Okay, that's like insane value for me. But bolt your Ignoble Hierarch, it's like it kind of feels bad. So you're just kind of walking into the things that everybody else is already doing. Plus, you have to stretch your mana. You have to like cut ports. Port's great. I always miss port whenever I cut below 3. If I could run 4, I would, but it's just like running 4 ports in a 2-color deck is like pretty ambitious.
Yeah, that's fair. Do you think that it was a big influence on why people looked to Food Chain Goblins again? Or was it other cards?
Ignoble Hierarch absolutely makes Food Chain playable in the first place. Like that deck was not like really worth exploring all that much before Food Chain. I mean before Ignoble. But Ignoble it enabled it. Like before we had to play cards like Chromox. Chromox sucks. Chromox is a terrible card.
Is Bryant here?
I don't care. Chromox sucks. Don't at me.
Yeah.
Anyone who's ever put Chromox in like a fair-ish deck, like Fuji's a combo deck, but like it's fair-ish sometimes. If you like,
I like
God, it
like
feels
dead
bad.
guy sometimes they come up.
Oh yeah, that feels so bad. It feels so bad. Like it's like necessary sometimes, but like, oh man, you draw that Chromox in turn 3, and just like, oh my God. I hate Marcel. Oh, he's a Chromox gamer. I'll never understand. But I mean, that's Winstigator. Winstigator's its own deal. It's like, I want to play a turn 1 Instigator and hit you with it. That's its own universe of goblins. Nice to see you, Marcelo, though. It's been a while. Go ahead, Dukes.
I was going to say, I assume there's a few Goblins players who have like one pet goblin that they always play with. Like, say, if you always play with Skirk Prospector, I assume there's some other players that are like known for like never dropping a card. Like I know Steve is a huge fan of Bug Delver, and he always plays Sinkholes.
Yeah, Steve is stupid Sinkholes. Yeah. Common Goblin pet cards are Goblin Sharpshooter.
Yep, nice.
Everyone, I mean, I love Goblin Sharpshooter. It's like one of my favorite cards. I have a signed Goblin Sharpshooter that Greg Staples signed. Like, it's such a sweet card. Like, it does so many cool things.
Yeah.
But it's a 3-mana 1/1 you have to untap with to do anything. And sometimes it doesn't do anything. Like, it's an elaborate jigsaw piece that can enable, like, the stupidest lines. But it's just like mostly worse than Pashlik Mons against most decks, because Pashlik Mons is a pinger that will also clear Plague Engineer for you. And Sharpshooter versus Plague Engineer is not, you don't want to be on the Sharpshooter side of that equation.
Yeah, sadly.
And it's just like, you play against Delver, and it's like you play your Sharpshooter and they bolt it, and you're really sad. But it's like you play your Pashlik and they bolt it, and you kill their 1/1. You kill their Delver or their Pyromancer or their Ragavan or their Channeler. You just get a 2-for-1 for free. And if they don't bolt it, then you get to like do stupid stuff with you can like Crater Maker and like Arc Lightning your Crater Maker. You get to Sling Gang and like machine gun their whole face. So. I miss Sharpshooter, but I just do not think it has aged well. Other pet cards.
Do you ever?
Sorry.
Oh no, I was going to say the other card that I always think about is from watching. I remember GP Vegas. I think it was the Goblins guy who was like 6-0 or 7-0 on camera playing in Show and Tell and put in a Sting Scourger.
That's Mike Hadley almost 100%. And yes, he still likes Sting Scourger. And I will always argue with him about it. We have very different approaches to goblins. Like he is like all in on like the toolbox thing. Like, he's got a goblin settler that he will not cut. I don't get it. He's got a Kiki Jiki. I admit I kind of want to try. Kiki. I want to try Kiki again. Recently, because I kind of want another bomb against control decks, and I also am a little interested in the fact that it can't get exiled by Skyclave Apparition because it's 5 mana.
Yeah, that's fair.
So I'm kind of interested in the idea of Kiki against like Fair Blue that's not Delver, and then TNT, because it's like also against control, like they're all playing Dress Down, and so having a way to recycle ETBs that got stifled is pretty appealing.
Nice. Yeah. That's a good one.
So I'm gonna try Kiki again for a little bit. Card's sweet.
Yeah.
Sting Scourger is the big one. Oh, Krenko.
Is that a meta thing or like a personal preference thing?
It is hard to justify Krenko since Sling Gang came out. Krenko, I think if you could justify it in certain like local meta situations. If your local meta has a lot of stompy decks, like Eldrazi can't beat Krenko in a million years. Yeah, Krenko was a specific niche. Scared Money has exactly the point. Krenko was insane in the era. It was during the Death era before Fatal Push got printed, because Bug Colors could not remove a 3 toughness 4-drop because they only played Disfigure, and Abrupt Decay.
Yeah. Yep.
So Krenko was actually unkillable outside of Toxic Deluge. So like the Bug Delver matchup, or Bug anything matchup, just revolved around can I get this Krenko into play before they him it? And if I do, I'm gonna win.
Classic.
Yeah, that was like that was like 2017, 2016.
Okay.
So like I think if your meta has like a lot of Stompy, Eldrazi, Knight decks, Krenko is usually good against, even though it is legendary, so you can tutor up Crocus. But like if you get to make 6/1/1s against like Maverick or Loam, like then you can like you can start like gem palming Knights, and it's just like you have so much value.
Yeah, but it's a 9/9. I got 10 goblins out.
yeah, right. So Krenko does have like a theoretical niche. I wear yellow Crocs, thanks to the follow. What else is there? There's like yeah, Sting Scourger. I hate Sting Scourger. Sting Scourger sucks.
Okay.
What else is like the pet cards? Goblin Settler. I also think Goblin Settler sucks. It's a 4-mana Stone Rain.
Yeah, I remember the foils are really expensive.
I don't think there even are foils. It's only been printed in Portal.
Oh, maybe that's why. Maybe it's just a really expensive.
It's just it's the most expensive goblin now.
I think I'm thinking of like original Goblin Matron.
Oh yeah,
I think they're quite expensive.
7th edition matrons are very expensive. Yes.
Okay. Are there any other like obscure like goblin cards that are just really expensive for the original?
Foil ringleaders are kind of pricey now. Like Apocalypse ringleaders, like $45.
Okay.
Yeah, matron's like 300 now. Jesus. No, I mean, yeah, I think that's. I mean, foil pile drivers are a little up there, but foil pile drivers like 100. I have a foil pile driver. It'd be cool if it was $100.
Nice.
Yeah, do I like the goblin deck with reanimate plus Fisher Wizard? I think that's like a really cool idea. I'm interested in goblins cards that like dodge the normal types of interaction that people have. Like a reanimate sub game is like a really good way to dodge people who are just trying to like removal spell you out of the game. Where it's just like, okay, reanimate Muxus, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I assume there's never been a planeswalker that's really appealed for goblins.
I've played a little bit of Chandra Torch of Defiance in the sideboard during the Snecko era.
Oh, that's cool.
Because they were playing Decays. And so their only way to remove planeswalkers was actually through combat damage. So if you could just like put a bunch of blockers in the way, you just like play your war marshals and matrons and ringleaders and just like chump.
Yeah, that's right.
Then you could actually outvalue them with the Chandra. The Chandra was really good against that deck.
Yeah. That's sick.
That's cool. I'm a huge fan. Yeah, my pet card is the red Grenzo, which is like the Ragavan before Ragavan, because it's a red 2/2 legendary. And then whenever any of your goblins, any creatures, not just goblins, deal combat damage to a player, you exile the top card of their, or you get two choices. You can
you can't forget the goad.
yeah, you can't forget the goad. You can goad target creature, which is force it to attack you for the next turn. Or you can exile the top card, and if it's a spell, you can cast it that turn, paying any color for its mana cost. Grenzo was sick against certain decks. Yeah, goad would come up as like weirdly. It was like you goad their Tarmogoyf so you can hit them with Lackey or whatever. But or like goad to force the Mother of Runes to tap on their main phase. Yeah, Grenzo was awesome. Grenzo is such a fun card. I have so many fun memories of Grenzo. I've gotten to like Grenzo at Jace. Like against check pile, Grenzo, your Jace. I've gotten to Grenzo, the crop rotations against depths, and I crop rot for Wasteland. So it's very much like Ragavan, but like obviously turns slower, and yeah, it turns all goblins to Ragavan Blight. It doesn't give you the mana, but you can spend any color, so like there's some trade off there. I really like Grenzo. That's like my pet card for sure.
Nice. I do like I did like a tips and tricks things for Legacy on like Twitter maybe like a month ago, and PVDH pointed out that it's whenever Goblin Lackey deals damage to a player, it's not combat damage.
Yeah.
So I think there's like an equipment that like you can equip to a creature and like tap it to make it deal 1 damage to any target or like a player. That's a way to put free creatures into play.
Is that Viridian Longbow? Something?
Ooh.
I think that's it. But yeah, the conventional way to do the lackey trick is Rakdos Charm.
Oh, that's sick.
Yeah, Rakdos Charm mode being target players' creatures all deal 1 to them, basically. And so you can target yourself. So your lackey deals 1 to you, and then you can put stuff into play. Yeah. It's really silly.
That's
Rakdos Charm is like always very close to playable, but it's just like red black is like not easy to cast, and so it's like it's like a little too slow as Graveyard Hate because it's like it's a 2-mana Tormod script basically, but like it's Reanimator. If you got into 2 lands, like you you must have already had a interaction spell, you know, so it's like not real Graveyard Hate.
Yeah, it's true. I always thought Dimir Charm was pretty close, but maybe just a little bit too narrow.
Dimir Charm is cool.
Pretty relevant with like Show and Tell or Natural Order or like Green Suns or
yeah, that's like Warping Whale. I used to always try to put 1 Warping Whale on my sideboard or like main deck.
Dude, yeah.
Warping Whale. You forget to Warping Whale in Natural Order?
No, I got a Warping Whale Terminus.
Ooh, Warping Whale Terminus is good. I've done that.
On camera twice.
Oh, on camera twice. Oh, I'm jealous.
Yeah, it's pretty funny because the commentators are like, Warping Whale? What?
Yeah, Warping Whale is sick. Warping Whale is absolutely sick. Trying to think if there's any other like fun pet card. Oh, Confusion in the Ranks. Yeah, before Muxus, when Show and Tell was like a bad matchup, people definitely played some funky stuff to beat Show and Tell, and so like Confusion in the Ranks, Ashen Rider, oh yeah, Warping Whale on Infernal Tutor plus Crack LED. I've done that. That one feels good.
Hey John. So good. What about our other tribal spells? Are these the main 2?
Yeah, I think when Arcanist was legal, I tried Nameless Inversion as like
the +3 Nectarine?
Yeah, as like a goblin shaped lightning bolt.
Yeah.
But it's just like it's like got the whole hard to cast problem. Off color. Yeah, Goblin Surgeon's a boss, but Prismatic Ending definitely puts a damper on him. Goblin Surgeon is a Fallen Empire's common.
Yes.
Yes. O2, sacrifice a goblin, regenerate target creature. Can regenerate any creature, not just goblins.
Sack a goblin, regenerate target creature.
Yeah. So we moved to that to play when Blue Red Delver was super popular right after War of the Spark came out, because it's just like, oh, if you turn all their lightning bolts into like edicts, basically, because you get to point the removal spell for them, basically.
Yeah,
you just like really can't lose because you just like, okay, my War Chief never dies, my Pile Driver never dies. How do you possibly get anywhere, right? So like when decks were just like super like damage based removal, yeah, they could not beat that card. It was so silly good. And like even like Blazing Volley or Pyroclasm or whatever, it's just Rough Tumble. You just save half your board. So it was like only half effective, and oh god, it was so good for a couple months there. So insane. Yeah, for 1 mana.
That's sick. Have you ever played any other lords like Trashmaster?
I mean, I do sometimes have a 1 of Goblin Chieftain.
Yeah.
Chieftain.
That's the haste and then ++1 for
right. Yeah.
Red 1.
Yeah. Chieftain is a little underpowered for Legacy, unfortunately. It's just like it leads you to getting blown out a lot of the time. It's really easy to walk into things. So like you just and if you take lines to not walk into things, you're not actually taking full advantage of the card, and as you experience, like goblins, usually the bottleneck is not cards, it's mana. And so like that's why War Chief is so good, is that it gives you just as much burst damage as Chieftain a lot of the time, because like Matron for Pile Driver becomes so cheap. You know, it becomes a 3 mana to deal 8, basically.
Yeah.
Whereas Chieftain, if you want a Matron for Pile Driver, obviously it'll be deal more damage, but that's 5 mana instead of 3, and that's just like a massive gap. So yeah, Chieftain, I occasionally play one, but overall I think it's worse than War Chief. Goblin King is sicko mode, but bad, very bad. Yeah, you're just like, oh, I gotta attack with my goblins into your stuff because I have Mountain Walk, and they bolt your Goblin King and eat your board, and then you feel like an idiot.
All I can think of is the Goblin King from The Hobbit.
Yeah. Ooh, oh yeah, yeah, okay, if they print Red Orborg, which for the record will never happen because Valakut the Molten Pinnacle exists. But if they lose their mind and do that, then maybe we can talk about Goblin King. Goblin Pyromancer. Yeah, Goblin Pyromancer. Do you know Goblin Pyromancer, Douges?
No.
Goblin Pyromancer was old tech, all the way back in like Onslaught Standard, I imagine. It's for the mirror.
Classic.
Because it's symmetrical.
Nice.
So you can do stuff like at the end on your second main phase, vial in my Goblin Pyromancer, end of turn, trigger, destroy all goblins.
Classic. Because there's a white spell that does that, just like destroy all goblins.
Yeah, Tibidor's Crusade, yeah.
Yeah. That's hilarious.
Yeah, it is. It's pretty funny. And then if you play it on your own turn, then you get his burst damage, yeah. Goblin Wizard is awesome. Oh man, I'm gonna play that for D&T now. How do they can't beat that card. I actually own a Goblin Wizard. I have a beat up Goblin Wizard. It's reserved list. It's from the dark. I picked it up because I was like, you know, this card might be like stupid expensive one day, and I want to have it just in case. It's a 2 red 1/1. You can tap it, and it has the Lackey ability, which is insane. And then red, target Goblin gains protection from white. I mean, it does not seem like a bad card versus Death and Taxes. Can't Skyclave that.
Yeah, I do like that the artwork of Goblin Pyromancer is obviously them like not really sure what they're doing.
Yeah, wait, is that Goblin on the right pouring water on his butt because he's on fire?
Yeah, exactly. This guy's on fire.
That's incredible. I've never noticed that. I guess Goblin Wizard would be good against Miracles now too. Yeah. Can't plow or prismatic ending it because it's just like 4 mana protection from white, and I'm just gonna put stuff into play. That'd be really funny tech.
I believe the card John played is a creature that has protection from goblins. It's a white creature.
ETB kill goblin.
Yes.
To the Darthorn. Time Spiral.
Nice.
Yeah, JR and I are going to enter the arms race where we start playing progressively stupider, and like I'm going to start playing Flash Fires, you know, I'm going to start playing what's the Virtue's Ruin, the 2 and a black destroy all white creatures. It's like the Perish, the equivalent of Perish. That's a card I always loved. I always want to play Perish. It's like too narrow.
I can see like
love Perish.
John responding with like Vial on 3, puts in like Painter and names White, and all the goblins are like, no,
cancel, undo.
Yeah.
The thing is, the thing with JR, I can never beat JR because I swear to God, he will. Basically, he doesn't have to do anything. Moto will screw me so bad against JR, it is silly. I will never, ever draw a reasonable number of lands against him. Ever. Like, I think almost every single one of my games ever against JR, I've had 1 or 2 lands or 0 lands the entire game. And it'd be like turn 13. I have 1 land to play. It's not even like he's wastelanding me. It's just like, nah, I just don't have lands. It's It's very frustrating. I'm gonna get you one of these days.
XJ. I think, yeah, just getting better with this deck is probably just playing it.
Yeah.
And just getting more reps in.
It's very experiential. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like it's a deck that if you sink your teeth into, you're going to get a lot out of it, which is nice.
I mean, that's why I like it so much. It's like I played this deck for like 5 years now, and I still make mistakes. I still am learning things. I'm playing the monkey list tomorrow. I'm not gonna play Ragavan tomorrow. I'm gonna play. I actually sold my Ragavans back. It's like I made enough money with these. I'm just gonna sell them back so I make a small profit off of these $100 Moto cards, which is stupid. I'll send you what I'm playing tomorrow, Marcel. I talked about it a little bit. It's the minor green splash for Vandal. I think I'm gonna play like 4 red blasts because I hate Murktide Regent with a fiery passion.
Showcase.
Yeah, showcase on Sunday at 11 my time.
It sucks. So it's in like pretty much an hour.
47 hours.
Yeah, sadly that'll be 3 a.m. on my Monday morning, and I got work at 8 a.m.
Oh, rough. Oh, wait, so is it wait, is it 4 in the morning here for you?
It's 2 in the morning.
Oh, Sumo, okay.
Yeah. So at least Saturday challenges aren't too bad because they start at 9 p.m. on a Saturday night.
Right.
But then Sunday challenges are always at like 1 or 2 a.m.
Yeah. Yeah, you can always rent if you don't want to buy Moto cards. But I mean, Goblins isn't that expensive. Like, the whole deck's like 200 tickets or something. And like most of that is Wastelands.
Yeah, I think this was like maybe 300 ticks.
Okay, yeah. I guess
it's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I guess Wastelands are Wastelands Caverns are maybe expensive now.
Yeah. I'm not sure about Vials either.
Yeah, I'm not sure about Vial either, yeah.
Hmm.
All right, well, I will let you go, man. I'm gonna go eat lunch. I'm starving.
Yeah, that's cool. Hey, huge thank you for this. This is
super
awesome. It's actually really cool just to jam some Goblins because I have played it in paper and like online a few times, but I'm definitely not a seasoned rep. So to come back to it was really cool because I think just like playing other decks in Legacy is only going to make you better at playing your own deck anyway.
It's absolutely true. Yeah. Thank you so much for doing this with me. You're such a great guest, man. We haven't done anything together in a long time. It's like we started doing Twitch at like very similar times, and our channels are like very similar in like demographics and all that. And so like we've always been kind of like going parallel to each other, and it's always cool to like get to meet up again.
Yeah, definitely. I loved our I think the first thing we did was like play just games against each other on like Maverick and Goblins and like talk through different lines and stuff.
Yeah.
Which is pretty sweet. Pretty sure I got hosed. But it was fun. All the same.
that was a logged. I remember like a Siege Gang Commander happening. That was a long time ago.
Yeah. I reckon it was 2018.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right.
But good times.
Good times.
But yeah, thanks, chat.
Let's see who we can host here. See anyone else streaming some Legacy.
Arkan?
It's playing Ruby Storm. Ugh. Sylvia's doing the prelim, and Mopanda's doing Cloud Post. I'm sorry, I can't abide Ruby Storm, so I'm vetoing. No shade to Arkan, I'm just vetoing Ruby Storm.
That's funny because the only other person I can see online is Tony Scaponi, and obviously he's playing Storm.
Fuck that deck, man.
Classic.
All right, I'll say over Sylvia. Sylvia's like an insane player, so anyone who wants to like learn Magic should probably watch Sylvia play.
Cool.
All right.
All right, man. Thank you again, and all the best for Auntie's.
Yeah, I'm gonna crush some blue nerds, hopefully.
That should be sweet. Do you know what it is? Like, is it like 6 rounds top 8 or?
I know it's double elimination.
That's right. Yep.
So, all right. Have a good morning, afternoon, evening, everyone. Dukes, thanks for joining me, And I'll see y'all
welcome
next time. I don't know if I'll stream. I might stream Anu's a thing tomorrow. So.
Nice.
All right. Have a good one.